Well, here we are again. Sugar Ray's Record Room, Triple R Studios, and the great man is sitting right beside me.
Thank you, Dawsey. How's that, buddy?
Hello! Down the far end, Mike Big Roy Whitney.
Dawes, how are you? Achmundo?
Very good, very good. And I think, again, I'll throw it over to you to introduce this afternoon's guest, and he's a legend, and it's all yours.
Well, we have met before, and we've met away from your sport. We originally met through music, which we want to talk about, but we've always loved you as a player. Always as a gay, this bloke, from a young age, down the south coast of New South Wales. Dale Finucane, the first question, Dale Finucane, I want to ask you is how many people have called you Finucane?
Finucane.
All right.
All the variations that I've got of Finucane is endless. You know what, actually, the strangest one that I got, I think we're playing in New Zealand one day, and I got Dale Finucane. So
they're trying to adopt you as a Maori.
I don't know how you get Dale out of Dale, but Dale Finucane has been the best one. Or fettuccine.
Now, it's Irish, isn't it?
Yeah, Finucane is Irish, but, you know, it's funny. I did the ancestry swab, and it come back that I'm 20% Greek-Italian as well.
Oh.
I've never met a Greek or Italian in my family, but apparently it's 20% there. Don't know where it comes from.
Now, looking at you.
There's a bit of
I've got the features.
Can I say wog? Or
well, you can because you grew up as one.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, funny.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's talk about music first. Not your footy. We'll talk about music and growing up down the South Coast. So you're a Bega boy?
Yep, grew up in Bega. School down there, Bega West, public school.
Beautiful part of the world, bro.
Yeah, it's nice. That school doesn't exist anymore. There's a freeway that runs right alongside it. But, it was really good. And you're talking about music, obviously, my old man, he played, obviously, and, you know, we had to play an instrument at school out of the recorder or the guitar, so I was never going to
the recorder sort of.
School play the recorder because it would have pissed our parents off. But, Dad played the guitar, and we sort of stuck with that throughout primary school and, you know, obviously throughout high school when you can choose your electives and things, I chose to persist with it. And
so you did music at high school?
Yeah, I did music. I think it was a compulsory subject for year 7 maybe, and then sort of beyond that you could pick and choose what you wanted to do. But I sort of kept on doing it up until year 10. I played, you know, different assemblies and things like that sort of throughout my time at school. So that was probably my introduction into, you know, really loving and enjoying it. And obviously having my dad as an influence for the type of music is probably similar to the stuff you've got in here, Ray, or the stuff that my dad enjoys.
And how's the old man go? I mean, could he play and sing?
Yeah, he's quite good. Going back to his place now in Marimbula where he lives, back on the south coast now, beautiful. He's got guitars all around the house. He's got, pedals and things, you know, more than I know what to do with.
Wow.
But, he's sort of just the type of musician who just loves to sit there with a backing track and just sort of riff and play for hours on end, just, you know, riffing.
And he plays guitar, bass, or any?
Yeah, guitar and bass. I guess if you can play the guitar, you can sort of play bass as well.
Do you play bass as well or anything else?
Oh, like I can play the bass.
Piano?
I wanted to try and get into piano through COVID, so I bought a piano.
Great.
With intentions of sort of learning. I need the letters on there though.
Yeah.
If I don't have the letters on there, I'm stuffed. But very, very basic. Like I know the spaces between minor and major chords and things like that. But
I've seen Andrew Farris's piano and he's got the letters on his as well. So that's cool, man. I reckon.
Yeah. But Dale, how about your voice? Like you obviously started playing guitar. When did you start singing and thought, well, I'm okay at this?
Oh, I guess I sort of, you know, I kind of found it not boring, but I always thought I might as well sing if I'm playing along to something rather than just sitting there and playing a melody. I might as well sing alongside it, and it's just something that I actually enjoyed doing.
But right from the get-go, like you thought, well, I'm good at this? Or
and
you
was that at school, like school performances and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I was in a primary school band. So I was in the primary school band. I never actually
What were you called? Did you ever know?
No, I don't even remember, actually. The principal was in our band as well.
The Bega
boys. The principal was kind of one of the guitarists, and then there was sort of, you know, the rest of the band.
Bega Cheese Boys.
The Bega Cheese Boys, probably.
I have seen a video on YouTube. I think you're playing Smoke on the Water in a school band, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How old's that?
Oh, I think it's high school.
Really?
Wow. Really him, but
I'll have to find. I'll send it to you.
There's a song that I actually do remember. It was probably about year 8, and my voice hadn't broken, and I probably hadn't reached puberty at that time yet. And we were singing Evie, let your hang down. And I was just like the real pubescent sort of like high pitched voice that was like voice quite hadn't broken yet, but Yeah, that's one of the songs I remember playing.
Yeah. So, football.
Hang on, I wanted to ask musical influences, like bands that you got into that influenced your style that you like more. I mean, you're a rock and roll man, or a bit more of a jazz, soul, reggae, or a bit of a mix.
Yeah, so everything that Dad was probably into at the time, like obviously Eric Clapton was someone
His
that
bloody
he loved.
record collection, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always the old man's record collection.
Yeah.
He certainly influenced, obviously he's, in 68, so kind of through the 80s was kind of his genre. So all that sort of popular stuff through the 80s is what I was into. Like Dire Straits, I was writing to them. He loved listening to them. Bee Gees, I like the Bee Gees as well. These are sort of all the early stuff that I enjoyed listening to.
You know, I used to think when I was growing up, Bee Gees were a bit wanky. I was more of a rock and roll, wanted to listen to the Beatles. I love the Beatles, but Led Zeppelin and all that.
Yeah, you're the street cred, eh?
Street cred in Matraville, you know. But now I listen to the Bee Gees, any of their songs, and the harmonies and the...
Yeah, I listened to them doing a cappella on
That's
on a
what I was
show.
saying,
And
that a cappella notes that Barry Gibbs gets to. Man, that's just bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's said, like I listened to it. I think is it 3 or 4?
3 of them.
Three, yeah. So
Well, there was 4, but the younger brother, and he died, didn't he? Not Robin, no.
Was it Andy?
Andy Gibb.
Andy Gibb.
Had a couple of hits too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, watching that on a talk show, there was the 3 of them just doing a cappella, and it was amazing to watch.
Amazing. It was another instrument, wasn't it? They all played in that, but they had 3 more instruments, and it was just... I listen to it now and I go, I used to bag this, and now I'm listening to it going, it's just honey and gold coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And really good tunes and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I guess more recently now, sort of love like Ed Sheeran. Like I think because he does a lot of his own stuff,
The best.
because he's got his own loop pedal. Like I feel like I've been and seen him a number of times, and every time he goes there, he explains to people that it's all me. There's no backtracks. There's no anything. Like I make this, and he shows like almost the tutorial of how he gets to where he goes to. Because I think he had an instance where he had a Canadian couple or something at one of his shows. They're like, he's not doing all that, and they wanted their money back.
Well, I did the same. Can I just tell you a quick story? Darren, my nephew outside, he says, come and see this guy called Ed Sheeran. And I said, oh, yeah. And I did the same thing. I says, mate, I've paid this money, and there's a pedal at there and a couple of foldback.
Yeah.
Mate, by the end of it, my jaw hit the ground, and I went out and bought one of those Boss looper.
The Bosch, the RC300.
That's it. Had to buy
that's
one.
why I bought one as well. So I started.
He was unbelievable.
And he's got 50% of that bloody company, you guys. Come on.
Mate, I did. I had the initial
Roland.
Boss.
Oh, is it Boss?
But it's owned by Roland.
Is it Roland by us?
Is that one of our sponsors?
Yeah.
You got it.
That's
That
our-
could be. Yeah.
So I had the single pedal initial. I think it was the Boss RC3, and then it goes 30-300.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the one station's not enough, because he's obviously making multiple loops. He's playing a guitar rhythm. He's playing some drum.
But then he does this.
Yeah, then he'll beatbox to it. I need more stations.
Did you go see him live? Have you seen him live?
Yeah.
And they get the audience, and he gets them to do the harmonies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then he records that as well and plays that all out in the one song? Or they just sing live to his harmony?
They just sing live to it.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's
it's
just
quite
one
incredible.
dude up there on his own.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that?
And I went and watched him. So 2015 was the first time I saw him live. I ended up getting down in Melbourne, and then I loved it so much I found a ticket for the next night and watched the exact same show again.
Dale goes and sees him next day. He goes, sorry, darling, I've got to spend 10 grand on some new stuff because it was a bit...
And were the girls screaming? Because when we went, we couldn't hear, and he had to tell everyone, can you... I'm going to sing the next song. I can't hear myself. Can you? And the girls just wouldn't. It's like Beatlemania.
When you
it was
hear kind of
unbelievable.
like the thinking out loud, the first little guitar bit, it's like everyone just goes mental.
I think it's really rude that you're that talented and get up. How can you do that?
But he's a songwriter elite. Talking about songwriting.
Ray, to entertain people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's phenomenal, isn't it? And he just gets up and then, like you said, Dale explains everything.
Yeah, almost a tutorial for what he's doing.
Yeah.
And now I'm wearing the great T-shirt, the FIGJAM.
Yep.
It's I'm up to original song number 96.
Hang on. What does that stand for?
The acronym?
Do you know what it is?
I'm aware of it,
You know what it is?
We can say it on here.
Yeah, we
people
can
can
say
say
it.
we can say, fuck, I'm good.
Just
ask me.
As I am.
That's Rahmunda.
Now, would you be interested in singing any of my originals?
Your originals?
Yeah.
What's
I've got about 96 of them.
Have you?
Yeah.
They're
good.
They're really good.
Can I send you one?
You can send them through.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
I've got a bit of time at the moment. The family's away back in Bega, so I've been doing nothing but playing my guitar. So
Does everyone
send them
listen to this
week.
on the radio? He's just said yes.
Yeah.
No, fantastic. Sorry to put you on the spot, but that's what I'm here for.
No, I can do that.
I'm here to put everyone on the spot.
Now, listen, you weirdos. We've got one of the best rugby league players running around the joint. We've only spoken about music.
One more question about music. I have seen on YouTube, I think when you're part of the Blues, you did a video thing with Guy Sebastian. You sang a song with him or something. I've seen that. That was great. So
yeah, so it was funny how that came about. I think he was performing, must have been at the Origin, and he just came into camp and did a little bit of promotional stuff with the wigs and, all the sort of merchandise that you wear around the Origin time. But and he just sort of, like, I met him obviously and said that I love music and blah, blah. And he just sort of asked me, he's like, do you want to do like a duet, like a little a cappella sort of thing? And I was like, yeah, is it Pope Catholic? Of course I do. And then, we did a little song, and I think it was Waiting on the World.
Yes.
Yeah. Just did like a little thing. It was pretty cool to say I've been able to do that.
Yeah. And also...
Very cool, mate.
Yeah.
Reckon.
The Dally M's this year too. Or last year, because it's 2023, wasn't it? And you performed Simply the Best. And how was that and the lead up to that?
Yeah, it was good. I think I got approached maybe a month prior to the Dally M's, so I knew it was coming, and we weren't definitive on the song, I guess, at the time. Like, they were they wanted Simply the Best because it was kind of fitting that Tina Turner had passed as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, around that time, like, there's an opportunity to play it solo on my own, and then there was also an opportunity to play with a couple of the the NRLW girls to play. And I'm not actually sure.
They play?
Oh, sorry, they were going to come and perform a duet. So I was going to play
sing.
guitar.
Okay, yeah. And how do they go, the girls? That'd be all right.
I'd seen some videos of the girls that were going to perform, and I don't know, for whatever reason it fell through and they weren't able to come. But long story short, the leading singer from Peking Duck was able to sing with me as well. So the one who does all of their
is her name Peking?
It's Peking and Duck.
And Duck are the other two blokes. Yeah, those have been Ducks.
Yeah. No, Mickey, she was unreal. She was so energetic, and like, I'd met her for the first time and come in and give me a massive hug, and she was so excited to be able to like play.
Did you get a chance to rehearse with her before the gig?
Yeah, so we did a sound check the day before. Got to do that, so everything was sweet, because we were going to play it at a different, because my voice struggles at the best of times, so we had to tune it down a little bit and put the capo on and find something that suited her voice as well with the harmonies. And then, we got to play prior to the actual show kicking off on the day. So we got to practice twice, which was good. Yeah.
And I'm assuming it was live to air on the night, and so nerves, how are you feeling? I would have been crapping my pants.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a big night, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a big night. And I think the fact that it's live as well. It's like,
live, don't make a mistake.
Yeah, if you fuck it up, it's a bit of trouble. But
they always remember that. It was really good until he fucked it up.
Yeah, but the most nerve-wracking thing was that I'd lost my capo, so we'd gone out the back 15 minutes prior to...
You okay, Ray? You're right?
No, Ray, I'll be anxiety about this, but lost the capo. So 15 minutes before I was able to perform, lost it, and I knew that it could only be in like a 10 metre area, because I knew that's all I'd been. And I had 10 people with their little phone torchlights on looking for it, and I'm like, geez, I'm going to have to retune my guitar.
I'd have 20 to 30 people.
Well, yeah, and long story short, it ended up being in one of these massive tubs that all the chords are in. So like, someone's found it in there, and I was like, thank God, because
the big road cases.
The big road cases.
If you don't find it, you've got to rejig the guitar up a knot or down a key?
Well, because it would have been open, so I would have had to gone up, because I had it on the first capo. So is
it one octave?
Half an octave.
Half an octave. Oh, no.
So I'm not like, I know how to tune the guitar and that sort of thing, but I wouldn't have been super confident. So I would have had to. But there was a guy.
15 minutes before you're on live.
Well, no, we found it 5 minutes before it came on.
Yeah, but you lost it 15 minutes. For that 10 minutes, you're freaking out, and then you've got to go, fuck, I've got to retune the guitar and sing it in a different key. No, live.
I was never going to sing it in a new key. I was always going to stay with the same key. But there was a guy out the back who, funnily enough, was good at guitar as well, or like was a.
And did he start to retune you?
He started to retune.
No, then you found the capo.
Then I found the capo. So it was an anxious 10 minutes of trying to find the capo.
Mate, I'm anxious listening to that.
Yeah. So
one last music question. You'll see the T-shirt that you've got on.
Oh, it's a beauty, isn't it? Have a look at that.
I love that T-shirt.
It's for the people out there. It's an Oz Icons T-shirt. Now you did perform with us in Oz Icons on Australia Day in 2023. And who else did we have? We had Junior Pearce and Spud Carroll.
was there as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where were you, Dawsey?
Oh, I was having a bit of a break, mate.
Okay.
I was just having a few beers at home, and
I didn't play that day either. Where was I on that?
Where
day?
were you?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Oh, your legs.
I'm on my legs. That's right.
Yeah.
My legs. Yeah.
So how was that performing with Junior Pearce and Spud Carroll, both legends of
It was cool. I
rugby
probably
league?
hadn't done like a band type thing until the Bega West school days, I reckon, like the playing in the band. But no, it was really good. It was kind of cool being up on stage, and obviously Pearce being like a bit of a front man as well. Like he was it was pretty cool seeing him, like the energy that he brought, and with the guitarist was having a little a riff or something, like he was in the background dancing and sort of
He's out there.
get
Junior.
on stage.
Hey, mate,
So
can
I
you
was like,
remember in that little behind stage and Junior's just giving us a pep talk now, like the forwards and the backs, and I want you to do a 400 before you.
How was Spud? Was he must have been crawling the walls and jumping? He would have loved
He
it.
could not believe he couldn't come on with the band at the start, and he had to wait till a few
Spud.
songs.
Give me the
that's
ball.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've
no,
got to manage him. You don't want him on the charge and get him angry, Spud. He could go
because
straight
he had a couple
through.
of songs that he
But they loved him,
he
didn't
did as
they?
well. Like he had a couple. I think he had 2 or 3 where
Yeah.
he did himself. Like he was the front man for it, and Wayne sort of took it. I mean, Busy took it back.
Junior,
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So,
Yeah.
He loves it. He loves it, Spud.
But it was good.
He loves it.
But thanks for doing that, mate. That was
No, I loved it.
fantastic.
It was
The
so fun.
rehearsal was cool.
It was
You know
good.
what I mean? You've still got my little thing for the acoustic guitar.
Yeah, I need to give that back, actually. I forgot.
I've only got 10 of them.
I hadn't got the guitar case out for a while, and I looked and I was like, who owns this?
Do you still use it? Do you still use it?
I haven't used it because I
you-
barely played, but like...
Did you pull it out? Or you,
I pulled it out.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have to get you back at Caringbah Hotel or somewhere in the Shire
Yeah, we'll have to
when
work
you're
out a date.
available, and it'll go off. It'll be packed. So
Dawsey, should we talk some footy for our footy fans out there?
No, is there anything else? Besides footy? Athletics, were you an athletic kind of kid?
I was, like, being from a small town, like, I was all right for that small area, but, like, if you go to another level, like, the regional ones, like, I was rubbish. Because, like, if you're good sort of in Bega, like, when you go to Canberra and Sydney, it's kind of like, you're the small fish again.
Because when Spud was on, he was telling us how good
He was good at everything.
Oh, I'll tell you what,
He
I
was
did
good at
actually.
everything, Spud.
So
Javelin.
I did all right at the 800, actually. So,
on you,
so
mate.
I ran
That's
that.
a dodgy distance, bro, isn't it? 800.
Well,
That's
I'll tell
a
you what I
lung
did, though.
blower.
So I got there, did well at Canberra, so I was the only kid running in barefoot and like on an athletics track, a proper
Unreal.
track. And we got to Canberra, so my family's all in, just bringing me to Sydney for the state carnival. Ran second last because I was trying to keep up with all the other kids because they obviously do pacing and that's what just do your best.
Oh, there he is, the young lad from Bega.
I've got to
how old
Brought
was
up
that?
running on oyster
would
shells.
have been 10. Like, was
About-
he 4, I think?
Yeah.
So it would have been 10 years old. But yeah, all the, like, flown up, driven up, accommodation, all this sort of stuff. 2-3 minute race.
All
That's it.
over.
Second last.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
What about cricket?
I did play a little bit of cricket back home. Not, I was more of a fill-in. So, like, if C grade needed a fill-in, I'd jump in for it. But I did enjoy it. We used to go down the nets a fair bit with my mates. But yeah, I wasn't probably more of a bowler than anything else.
What about, like, down that way? And I've spent a lot of time down there, and Pambula, Marimbula, and they're the best oysters anywhere in the world. And I'm an oyster connoisseur. But the beach, fishing, surfing, all that stuff.
Yeah, plenty to do down there. Like, I grew up in town, obviously in Bega, but we did nippers and surf clubs sort of growing up, so we're always at the beach. And probably the biggest regret is that I didn't learn to surf when I was like doing surf club. Because,
Yeah, good waves down there, bro.
Yeah, so I probably didn't learn or start learning until I was about 21.
Yep.
Which is probably
Good
the biggest
fishing
regret.
too. Good fishing,
Yeah, good
everything.
fishing as well.
Yeah, you got Cronulla Beach.
Yeah, I know. Now you can't get a spot at the circus because
Well, that's
everyone's
it.
bloody 50 blokes out.
Well,
right,
I'm going to
yeah.
mention this straight. Every time someone says to me Cronulla Beach, because I've done the sand, I think the sand dunes. Jesus, I've run them a few times in my life, not for a long time, but
But they're
awful.
Most of them are gone, aren't they?
no,
they're still there.
they just
At
create
Cronulla.
they
Vouch
just
for that.
create other ones.
Yeah.
and
Oh, do they?
Find a new steeple one
Can
to
vouch for that. They're
blow
definitely still there.
your lungs out. Yeah.
So your junior club was the
Sorry,
big,
guys, we're on to rugby league. Right, we've only been going for half an hour.
That was good fun, but
the Bega Roosters.
Yep.
So what age were you when you started playing rugby league, and what made you get into it? Was it your parents, or what happened?
Under 9s, I started playing. So I played soccer prior to that from a young age. And then I think just because all my mates were playing it, like they were all playing league and they come into school and talk about playing on the weekend. And I just thought, I'll give it a go. And then, just from 9 onwards, I sort of just stuck with it. But, you know, it's like at that age, you're a little bit of a sheep and you're pretty easily influenced by what your mates are doing. So I just kind of jumped on board.
And then coming up to Sydney, 2009, you got signed to the Dogs with the SG Ball side.
Yep.
How much was that a culture shock coming to Sydney at that age?
That's what I wanted to ask.
It was huge because, so take it back a little bit. So I'd signed with my manager in 2008 and
Moses?
Moses? Andrew Purcell was his name.
How old were you here?
16, turning 17. So 16.
So have you left school now? You're still at school?
No, still at school. So I was still at school, played at a carnival, manager signed me.
So you must have been doing really good to be noticed, to be brought up.
So carnival you were playing at, was that like a rep carnival or something?
It was like a country carnival. So all the country areas of New South Wales, they go to, I think the game was in Newcastle, and then obviously all the scouts.
Geez, they would have been pretty willing, all the country boys from New South Wales. How was that carnival? Good?
Yeah. Well,
good standard?
Everyone's kind of like, that's the sort of the best, I guess, of the New South Wales country areas. Like it's everyone from north, south, east.
Is there fellas that you played in that carnival that you're playing against now? Think of?
I reckon if there was, I can't remember, but I'm sure if you looked at the team sheets, there'd be a handful of guys.
Yeah.
So signed with my manager. He sent me a 4-year deal, like with the Bulldogs. First year was
at 16,
turning 17. So like
beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
So,
what sort of money?
Oh, not much. I would have been like $2,000 or something. Like not like just.
So just
more than
here's
we get
some money,
doing the
get
gig.
your signature.
Yeah, like
we think you got a bit of future.
Yeah, like
and you were signed as, you were a forward back then, or what position did you play?
Yeah, like signed as a lock, like same as what I play now. But the first year was a stay-at-home year. The second year was meant to be a stay-at-home year to finish year 12 at Bega High School, but my manager thought it'd be a good idea to bring me up earlier just to make the transition a bit easier, to get used to playing that style of football.
So you're 18 then?
17, turning 18 at the end.
And you
like
went
September.
to Bass Hill High School.
Yeah, so leads me into that. So like moved up with my manager, who I lived with him, and I'd never actually met him face to face. So it was an emotional goodbye. So I'd been involved in the AIS for a camp in February, and then from that camp immediately went on the train to go meet him properly for the first time and live with him. So,
and that's here in Sydney.
Yeah, in Sydney.
Man,
so
on
like
the train.
I'm literally going up to. I knew I'd seen a picture of him. So I got to Sutherland. I got to Sutherland train station. I've been bawling my eyes out too because I'm a teenager. I'm leaving home, missing my family and all that sort of thing. So I was bawling my eyes out the whole way up, and then got there and I'm looking for this man who I thought was my manager. And then, sort of met him, moved in with him, lived in him for 6 months. And then it's probably the best thing I did because actually had a fair bit of success. Like we won the SG Ball competition.
And you were Player of the Year, I believe.
That was the other thing. Like I was completely not expecting that. Like I had a really good season, SG Ball, Player of the Year for that. Made the first New South Wales side that I'd ever made.
The under-18 side, was it?
Yeah, first. I'd never made a New South Wales side before. And then I got called into the 20s the weekend after the competition finished, so it all happened really quickly. Like, and back to the culture shock as well was, back home in Bega. Like at the time, it's a bit more sort of culturally diverse now, but it was kind of just like, honestly, it was just sort of like the white people, and there's like some Aboriginal people down there, and there wasn't a whole lot of other ethnicities down there. And then moving up to Sydney and then going to Bass Hill, I was probably the ethnic minority at the school. I think it was kind of 70%, other than Anglo-Saxon. So,
Well, I went to the high school that was the grudge match. I went to Condell Park High School.
Did you?
And when I played footy for Condell Park, that was the big game.
Oh, that was the arch enemy,
was it? Bass Hill versus Condell Park.
The punch on in the first scrum and all that.
Yeah, so that was like, mostly because I'd never really seen those other people before. Like I'd never seen like
Asian-looking
Lebanese,
people or Lebanese people.
All that,
wow.
So it's like it was a massive culture shock when you're going into, and I'm going to school there. Like,
so that was for year 12 or year?
That was just year 12.
Year
so I did
12.
the 1 year of school there while I was doing the SC ball training.
Yeah.
And then sort of, I said, transitioned into the 20s.
You lived in Bass Hill? Whereabouts? What street?
No, not in Bass Hill. Went to Bass Hill, lived in Menai.
Oh, okay.
So I was in Menai for the first 6 months, and then I moved into a Bulldogs, they call it the dog house.
Yeah.
It was like a Bulldog share house.
Some good stories there, I bet.
Yeah, there's a few. Probably not for the podcast.
Yeah, not for the podcast. We'll let you go with that one.
So it's sort of set up was a house family. So there was a Lebanese couple and their 2 daughters, and then 7-bedroom house. But I think at the most we had like 11 people in this 7-bedroom house at one point. So
wow.
The family's house was detached from ours, but there was boys doubling up at times.
And they cooked and looked after you.
They did everything.
Wow.
Vivian, who I still keep in touch with now, a lovely lady.
Wow.
And Sauce. they like stock our fridge for us, all the food. So as you can imagine, all the good food went like soon as shopping, all the LCM bars would be going, taking the rooms, all the good food like would just be taken.
Was that the Peter Moore era, or was that after?
I think he was already passed away by that stage. I think.
Did anybody marry the Lebanese daughters that were there?
No, they're actually similar age to us as well.
Okay, that's good.
Married different people, not rugby league players.
Because they saw these rugby leaguers.
We don't want to go with those guys.
We don't go and
Jeez,
marry
they
them.
can eat.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Like, there was, as I said, 11 of us at one point, and Viv was cooking up these massive feeds.
And falafel, tabbouleh,
yeah, we had some of
Fatouche.
tabbouleh,
Yep.
baba ganoush,
Fatouche.
hummus, fatouche, all that.
So I believe at 2011 you made the junior Kangaroos. So was that was when you were living at that house around that time, was it? Or?
Yeah, so what happened was I was initially in that Bulldog share house, and then the club, or the Leagues Club, or the footy club bought another house that was just down from the Canterbury Leagues Club. I'm not sure if you know where that is, but
Yep.
it was kind of like a bit of a transition house where it was like we're getting really well looked after by the house family, and then the next sort of transition was you're gonna pay $100 rent and you're gonna pay your bills, sort of thing. So I was like,
a bit more responsibility.
Yeah, a little bit more
that's great,
responsibility
yeah.
to try and transition you from like getting well looked after to then buy your own food, do that. But the rent was $100 or it was cheaper, but it helped you sort of learn.
Yeah,
What
look
it's like
after
to
your
be an
money.
adult,
Yeah,
grow up.
support yourself. Yeah.
So moved into that house, and then
With how many in that house?
that house was only
About.
3 of us. So Josh Jackson, who was the captain of the Bulldogs after a while, who's recently retired, and then another country kid, Lionel O'Malley, he's from Burke.
And what happened to him?
He just didn't kick on. He sort of went.
Boy, had
out
to go
West,
back
I
to
think.
bloody Burke, mate. That's what happened.
No,
I was
he's
missing
just-
Burke,
He's
mate.
still in
John O.
Sydney, actually. I think he's a financial planner in Sydney now.
Oh, there you go.
So doing really,
Invest in all the NRL money.
Yeah, exactly.
We were actually discussing about the players, like the really good players who didn't eventuate go to first grade, but they were really gun players in the juniors, and that's why I asked, who he was,
Yeah.
So the junior Kangaroos. So how was playing in that side?
Yeah, it was cool, and it's like I'd never made any like Australian schoolboys or so.
Yeah.
Only moving to Sydney was the first time that I'd made those like bigger rep sides, and it was cool because we had the Bulldogs 20s coach at the time was our Australian coach as well.
Okay.
So it was familiar, which was good, and a lot of the guys actually, majority I would say in that side had already played NRL as well. So I was probably one of the only 3 maybe players in that side that hadn't played NRL at the time.
Yeah.
First grade.
Yeah. So those
So the
20-year-olds.
majority of those, how old? What was the age limit in that team? Under 21 or something?
No, 20s.
20s.
So, yeah, it would have been
So
like...
most of those guys had already played.
19 and 20-year-olds, a lot, majority of them had played first grade.
How did you find stepping up to that level with those kinds of players playing first grade? Did you notice a difference, or you?
I can answer that for you. I fucking loved it.
From first, do you mean from 20s
Yeah,
to
because you were
first
in.
grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because it's definitely harder, it's more physical and it's faster, but you've got better players around you as well, so it makes your job easier because their communication's a lot better.
Yep.
So in a way, your job's easier, but the physical output is a bit harder.
And was that a tour?
No, it was just a single game in Newcastle.
Right, against who?
New Zealand.
Yeah, and how was that?
Yeah, it was good. We
Tough
lost
game?
the game, yeah. Similar to them, they had a lot of NRL experience as well. Yeah, it was a tough game. Actually, funnily enough, I don't know why I remember this, but I woke up with like an abscess or something. There was something ridiculous on my jaw. And my jaw was like, have you seen Quagmire out of Family Guy? I just had a Quagmire jaw. I don't know what it was.
Big
but
night.
Like, yeah, like, no, not a big night.
Who
It
drank
just-
the most on that? Can you name someone? Give us something.
a bit vague on that. That was 13 years
Someone
ago
must
now.
have really just.
There's always someone.
There is always
Yeah,
someone.
well, I mean, all those sorts of things are usually at the beginning of the week.
Okay, yeah.
Like, you generally have like a bit of a, because you don't know a lot of the players.
Yeah,
at
and the
times, so it's
bonding-
like
the bonding
have a bit of a
sesh.
bonding. It doesn't have to always be mad, but you might have a couple of beers and meet each other. But we did go out in Newcastle after. I think I remember Ethan Lowe having a decent little crack. I had a couple
He's a
of
good
beers.
player.
South boy,
I
isn't he?
really liked him.
Yeah. Yeah,
South boy.
Cowboys and then went to South.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I remember having a good night with him actually.
I really liked his style. He was
Yeah,
a really
he was
good
good.
player.
So 2012, the next year is when you made your first grade debut for the Dogs. and it was against your side, Widow, the Rabbitohs.
Glory, glory to South Sydney. You can't sing that. You're a Tigers man.
But, you know, I grew
And you're
up...
born in Matraville, and that's
born in
South Sydney territory.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, how was that first grade game? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it. There's one moment actually that's probably for the wrong reasons, but obviously excited, that I was going to play first grade and make my debut. And, I remember the conversation with Des, and because I'd been 18th man for a number of weeks prior to that, so I think I'd probably been, that was round 13 that I debuted, and I'd been 18th man probably 8 times, I reckon.
Frustrating,
So you're
Dale?
always on
Very
the cusp, you
Get
saw
into
the
it,
next
mate.
one in there, but
You're
it was
ready
kinda
to
like,
go. You just want the
go
nod,
for
don't
it,
you?
mate.
Yeah, so
You've
I
got
remember-
all this pent-up energy, and you just want to get out there.
So I remember Des bringing me into his office, and he's like, "Why do you think I'd be bringing you into the office?" And I was like, I kind of was.
He is the mad professor, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a mad professor.
He is. And the
He's a good
long
fella.
hair.
Yeah.
He was a great player, mate.
And I remember he was like, "Why would I be bringing you into my office?" And I'm like, "I don't know," but I was secretly thinking, "Like, I hope it's a debut." And I just said, "Oh, I don't know, 18th man again." And he goes, "Oh no, mate, one better." And he's very vigorous.
17th.
Yeah, 17. So that's how I got the opportunity to play. And then, but the moment in the game, I think I'd sort of tried to make a bit of a mark on it later in the game. And Sam Burgess was taking a carry, and I think Mick Ennis was in the tackle. And I sort of rushed out of the line to try and make a bit of an impact. And I've knocked Mick Ennis off the tackle. And so Sam Burgess got his arm free and offloaded to Dylan Farrell, who's run the length of the field.
Scored.
Wow.
Didn't score. Ben Barber tackled him like skin
A
of his teeth.
millimetre.
Skin, and it was a close game. So we won by it was very close. Wow. It was like 6 or 7 points we won by.
Great memory.
So that could have been a really awful memory of my debut, but ended up being
Trying to put a
pretty
shot
good.
on Sam.
Yeah.
Who else was in that side?
Our side?
Yeah, your side.
Like Ben Barber, Mick Ennis was our captain at the time, James Graham, the Englishman.
Yep.
We had a pretty star-studded pack, like Aiden Tom was in there, Greg Eastwood,
Wow.
Frank Pritchard. Like,
Wow.
Was Mick Ennis a pest? Was he really a pest, mate?
not on my team. When I was playing against him, he was.
Was he?
he's just the ultimate competitor. Like he enjoyed getting under people's skin and just like being a bit lippy and that sort of thing. So that's why you loved having him on your team.
Yeah.
Well,
But then when you played against him, it was kind of like
you
a
prick.
little terrier dog.
Yeah.
Just annoying the shit out of you.
When I was doing a bit of background on you, I saw a video and you talking about training with the dogs one day, and you thought you were putting in and doing real well, and Mick Ennis said something to you about like you
getting
need
out
to
of third gear.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember it vividly actually.
And you said that was one moment in your career where you thought, well, I really need to put in more effort.
Yeah, and I don't know to this day, I should ask him actually, but I don't know to this day whether he thought that I wasn't putting effort or he thought I had more to give or whether he was just trying to motivate me, but it's something that stuck with me. We were doing a conditioning drill, like conditioning game or something, and he goes, "Dale, get out of third gear." And I was just like, oh, shit, like I thought I was having a go.
I thought I was in top.
I thought I was having a go. And then it's just something that stuck with
It's
me. 'cause
almost a slap in a wake-up call, isn't
Yeah.
it? And from guys like that, I mean, you look up
because
to
you got so
blokes
much
like
respect
that.
for him.
Absolutely.
And he was our captain. And
Absolutely.
he wouldn't ask you to do something that he wouldn't do himself.
Yeah.
But were you? You weren't in third gear.
Oh, I couldn't tell
Maybe
you.
second.
He didn't think he was, but he was.
Yeah, I must
Really?
have been. I must have been. I don't remember what sort of effort I was given. But
Can you ask him when you come back for another podcast? You can tell us what he
I'm
said.
keen to know.
Thanks.
He probably forgets. He probably forgot about it. But yeah, it was a pretty significant moment in like, well, you're always putting your best effort no matter what, and it's something that's stuck with me over my career. And because I respect him so much, and he was one of those guys who he'd be the last one in like the yo-yo test, like this test that we do, like a fitness test, and he'd almost give the go at like to the trainer, be like, "That enough?" As in like, I've clocked it. I don't need to do any more. Like, you're content that I've done enough work. Like, he's won it. So it's he's one of those guys.
So that year, first year of first grade, and you managed to make the grand final, and you played against.
Glory, glory.
No, wrong year.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Wrong year.
Oh, Melbourne Storm. Sorry,
Yes,
Melbourne
Melbourne
Storm.
Storm.
That's
Yeah,
that's.
that's
I got a bit
Was the
excited.
year after.
Yeah, 2 years after it was. Yeah,
That's right.
so first year we played against Melbourne.
Got those dates wrong, Dawes. That's all right.
Doesn't
We're
matter.
just sitting around the bar having a beer.
Yeah, it was surreal because I debuted round 13 and then I missed one game after that and then played the rest of the season, and we were on a streak of 12 wins, like from around when I sort of debuted. Not that I was the impact because I came on and played 4 minutes, but we won 12
I'd
in a
be
row.
taking all of that for that.
Maybe it was
Soon
me.
as I
Maybe
ran
I
on the
did
ground,
it.
we won 12 in a row.
Yeah. So from that point to round 26, we'd won 12 in a row. So I I was just thinking, how good's this? Like, we just keep winning. Like, and then we got beat by Canberra in round 26, and then finals we sort of won our next two. I think we might have finished minor premiers that year as well. I could be wrong. I think we did. And, like very surreal to be like involved in the grand final and something that I don't take for granted, because you hear from a lot of other senior guys that you may only ever get one opportunity.
Yeah.
Don't take it for granted.
You've had 6.
Been like that. Still very lucky.
So this is where my dates are correct now. 2014, another
Yes.
grand final for the
Glory,
Bulldogs. Here we go.
Well, I had to wait 43 years to celebrate. Yeah, man. It was a big night, that.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you about that first grand final. How was that? Because I remember my first Sheffield Shield final. It was the first 5-day game in Sheffield Shield history. Oh, man, I was shitting my pants.
Yeah.
We were playing Western Australia. Kim Hughes was playing, Rod Marsh, all these guys at their home turf. Unfortunately for us, we go over 5 days. You just do a paltry 40 minutes each half. But
short jump.
it's the mental excitement. You've got to try and hold yourself a little bit, haven't you, and not get...
Yeah, I think
Because
too.
you can waste energy.
Yeah, you can definitely waste, like...
Just neutrons, burn them off with anxiety.
I've got plenty of that.
Yeah, you know what? I probably did too much in terms of, like, because I wasn't so excited around that time, and people were coming up to watch the game, and I had family and friends and mates. Like, in hindsight, I did too much. Like, I went and saw my mates. I went and did this. Like, I probably needed to narrow my focus more and just go, right, I got a game. Don't change anything.
But did you realise that then, or you learnt from
I didn't
that?
know that then.
That's right.
In hindsight, now I know that. Like,
yeah.
nothing will ever alter the preparation that I have for a game now. Like, whether it's family or friends come over, whatever.
And all your friends in that know by this stage, don't ring him the night before, the day before the game on. Don't ring him.
I won't answer it.
That's right. Don't ring him.
So superstitions? Did you have superstitions like the same underwear or the same smelly socks?
Early career, I did.
Some guys do, Ray.
Yeah, well, I know.
Early career, like, I used to have to put my mouth guard in my right boot because I knew where it was as well, but because it was kind of like a bit of a superstition.
Yeah.
Like eating the same meals like the night before, but like I kind of tried to phase some of them out because you get anxiety when
it doesn't happen. Correct.
So you're like, you just like, it's obviously within your control to be able to do those things, but if you forget about it, then it plays with your head.
Yeah.
So like, I think obviously having kids has probably helped that as well, because they're obviously more uncontrollable. Your sleep's a lot worse because they're waking up and those sorts of things. But I try to, I don't really have any superstitions anymore for that reason, because I don't want to feel anxious.
Yeah.
And how was that game, running out in your first granny? I mean, that's surreal, isn't it?
Honest,
Everybody dreams about that.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't have that much memory of that game, to be honest. And I don't know why, like, because it was obviously exciting and, I was overawed by the occasion because its majority was a Bulldogs crowd because it was Bulldogs Melbourne. Like, the grand finals that I was involved in with Melbourne, generally when we played a Sydney team, we had a minority crowd. So playing Sharks, playing South, it was heavily weighted to the other team.
Yeah.
So we had it heavily weighted in our favour, and I was like, how good is this? Like, the atmosphere of like 80,000 people just like going for the Bulldogs and wanting us to win. So I do remember the atmosphere, but in terms of the game, like I couldn't tell you anything really that happened.
Wow.
And against the Rabbitohs in 2014, do you remember much of that grand final at all? Or?
Yeah, similar sort of thing, like moments, but not in detail. I've got a bit more vivid memories of the more recent grand finals that I've sort of been involved in, but yeah, not a whole lot. Like, I do remember obviously the goal-end of the last try that was scored.
Yeah, GI.
Yeah. And obviously that was the nail in the coffin. The George Burgess try that he scored was like amazing. It was a good try, but obviously I was pissed off about it. But
we were going to bring it up, but are we going to do it?
There's obviously a point in the game where
everyone's nervous. Sorry.
There's obviously a point in the game where you know that it's lost, as in there's just only a certain amount of minutes left, and it's unachievable to score that many points in that many minutes. So like when you get to those points in that in the games, it's kind of like we're just waiting for the minutes to go.
Yeah, the air's out of the balloon,
isn't it? It doesn't stop you competing as hard as you can. But like it's impossible to score.
Yeah, but you don't want to get any worse, do you? You don't want to get any worse and then score another.
Yeah, exactly. You want to,
you want to play for a bit of pride. That's right. Even though you're losing.
So 2014, country origin.
Yep. That was, exciting.
Good on you, mate.
Being involved in that. And it was probably just before it kind of started to become a little bit towards the very back end of it, like they were picking guys who to almost make their debuts in City Country. But I feel like at that period it was still somewhat like they were trying to pick the players who were.
It's a proper contest.
Yeah, it was a proper contest, I guess. It was pretty good as well.
How tough are those games, City Country games?
Yeah, it was.
Pretty
I'm
tough.
just trying to think of the order of, because we drew one of them and we won one and lost one, I think. But they're tough because it's still the best city and the best country guys that are playing. As I said at the very back end, I think 2017 was the last year that they played City Country, and some of those games they kind of picked some young up and coming guys that were sort of first graders, but they probably weren't going to play Origin, to answer your question. The experiences are good, and they're always sort of, those rep weeks are always a lot more relaxed because you've got a coach that's coming in that doesn't obviously coach an NRL team. They're just sort of coming into, and you've got quality players, so you're not really coaching. You're not coaching as such.
Yeah.
You're kind of
managing.
you're managing, like, because people know what they're doing. They know their roles because they're
skilled
elite
up.
players.
Yeah.
So obviously the start of the week's about enjoying it, having a beer, getting to know each other, and then still train hard throughout the week and do all the processes. But it's a really enjoyable week, and that's how you get to know all the players from.
Was anyone sneaking any girls in?
Not that I know of.
No. If I gave you $100
under the
I'm
table,
trying to think
Ray.
who I roomed with. Not my roommate. So that's all I can vouch for.
Talking of coaches, but when you were with the Dogs, Des Hasler was the coach, yeah? How did you find playing under Des? The best hair in the universe.
I love his hair.
Yeah, no, I did. I got along with Des. He, it's funnily enough. So he was a really good coach, but he used to take the piss out of me because I used to have I've still got the MacBook Pro actually, the computer, and I used to stupidly carry, the box that it comes in.
Yeah.
I used to bring it to the airport.
In that box.
The box would come with me.
Oh no, Dave.
So I never had a laptop case. And Des came in one day and he goes, "Fuck me," and just like he gave me a laptop case. I've still got it. So that's 12, 13 years old. I still use that same laptop case.
That's collectible.
Yeah.
That's a collectible.
Yep.
That's a collectible for sure. What happened to the original box? You
I've had to go and get rid of the box.
You
somewhere.
got to keep the boxes to everything too.
Yeah.
What was Desi's style? Did he get angry or was he calm? Or what was he about?
He got angry.
Yeah?
No, he was good. Like he had I'm trying to think of the best way to describe him. Like he, in the same meeting, he could be like a larrikin and then be pissed off at something that happened in the video. Yeah. But he had a good balance of he had respect to the players. He had a good blow up in him though at the best times.
Mate, can I just ask about the videos? What happens in the video sessions? You don't bag each other, or you just go, "This is what we can't do, and this is what we should do," or is it just what do you say?
Yeah, I guess I feel like every NRL club's probably the same, but it's generally constructive because you want to get better at what you're doing, so you don't just want to be giving each other pats on the back. We do. You give each other a pat on the back when someone's done something well, but if someone's done something not so well,
so you can see they're out of place by 5 metres.
Or if it's effort related as well, you don't, depending on what it is, if it's an effort related thing where someone just didn't want to do it because they thought they could get away with not doing it, that's probably a thing where coaches would go, "Well, mate, you're lazy there, you need to do this." But if it's a skill related thing, they're probably more forgivable because it's you're trying, but
and work
it didn't quite work. But you got to give constructive feedback because otherwise you're not going to get any better. I feel like the teams who are more successful have got the ability to have tough conversations or the ability to give each other feedback.
Sure.
So how did you come then to be playing for the Storm in 2015? How did that come about?
Yeah, it's funny because I was...
Money.
No, I wasn't.
I wanted to say how much did they pay you?
Exact same money, I promise you. Not $1 more, I promise. So I was close to signing in... What year was it? 2011. So 2011 was my last year of 20s. At the end of that year... during that year, I'd gone to meet Melbourne, Craig Bellamy, Frank Nosti, the footy manager, as a 19-year-old to go down and sign and play with them.
Wow.
Because I was off contract for 2012. And then...
Did the doggies know that?
They would have... You're allowed to do that.
You're allowed to do that
at that time. Because it's the year that you're going to... As of November, you're off contract.
You're off,
so you're allowed to go and do what you like with that.
Yep.
Long story short, I stayed and signed it at the club at the Dogs. Stayed there 12, 13, 14.
So that was a better offer than Melbourne had made you, or because you'd already been at the Dogs and you knew the setup and Desi and yeah.
To be honest, financially, I don't think that I could be wrong, but I don't think there was much of a
Was there
difference.
like, why the fuck would I want to move to Melbourne?
Yeah, well, at the time, because I didn't know Melbourne
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
But, back to, so 2012, 13, 14,
So
stayed at the
they
club.
offered you a 3-year deal then to
Yeah,
keep you, or was it a one-hour or?
Because I was signed for another 2 years after that. So I was signed for 15 and 16, I think. So I didn't see out my deal at the Dogs. So it was kind of like a mutual agreement where I was looking for opportunity to play longer minutes, because I spoke about the lineup we had before. James Graham's international, Greg Eastwood, Fred
Yep.
Pritchard.
Yep.
They were all internationals, signed for as long, if not longer than what I was. So I wasn't going to see, I felt like my strength as a player was to be able to play longer minutes, and I wasn't going to be able to do that. So
With all them there,
with
yeah.
those guys there. So I spoke about getting an opportunity, and then Des, it was mutual. That club was happy to let me have that opportunity. So,
And did you re-engage Melbourne, or did they know that you were?
to be honest, my manager did all of
Yeah,
the
right.
behind the
Was it the same
scenes
manager
stuff.
still? Are you still
Yeah,
with
still the
Perouse?
same manager.
Yeah.
Same manager. So it was kind of like the second time round, I guess, where I was very, very close to going the first time in 2012, and then second time round, I was very happy to go there.
So
to play under
Is
Craig.
that because of bellyache, and they obviously sorted your money out? That's happy, but you got to go to a club where you think, am I going to get an opportunity? Are we going to win premierships? Have
Yeah.
they got their shit together? I don't want to go and play for a shitty club.
To be honest, that is the main, obviously financial stuff comes into it, but for me, I'd rather be happy knowing that you're going to potentially have success somewhere. So any time that you've been off contract, it's you evaluate the financial stuff, but it's what's the potential for the club's success that you're going to?
And
are
the
you
setup,
going to be
the
happy
structure,
there?
everything
So,
down there.
that's
Yeah,
probably-
and happiness. Am I going to be happy?
Because, you probably know, if you lose a cricket game sort of thing, I've got the shits for a couple of days after, and it impacts on your family life, and it's
And were
so-
you married at this stage? Are you single or?
So I've been with my wife now for since high school.
Yep.
So she's sort of followed me on the journey. So she's come to Sydney, come to Melbourne, back to Sydney. So she's sort of been
Good
everywhere with
girl.
me throughout that.
Very good girl.
No, she's
What's
very
your
good.
wife's name?
Maddie.
Good on you,
Yep.
Mads.
Yeah,
Well
she's
done.
Looking after him, Maddie.
She's done very well, actually.
Yeah.
So as part of the attraction also going to Melbourne is that you wouldn't be recognised as much, so you could sort of not really
Not really. At that, not really. Obviously, there's a level of anonymity down there because it's very AFL dominated. But people knew the big dogs down there, like Billy, Cam, and Cooper.
Yeah.
But outside of that, everyone was pretty anonymous down there, and it wasn't a draw card though. I feel Craig was obviously a draw card because of his success that he's had. Cam, Cooper, and Billy, to be able to play with those guys. That was probably the biggest draw card to go down, and the fact that they were successful. They had a lot of.
And
success.
what was it like playing with them?
Yeah, it was surreal when
They're
I
three of
first
the
got
best,
there. I still remember my first engagement with Cam. He'd just come off a Kangaroo tour or a Kangaroos game, and he I don't know if he shouldn't have played because he had a buggered ankle, but he ended up getting surgery after it. He was on his crutches, and we were training off-site somewhere. And the first time I'd met him because he was still injured. And just the fact that he come up and made an effort to say, hey, welcome to the club, blah, blah, it's easy to think that you put them up on a pedestal and they're these massive, which they are, they're immortal, potential immortals of the game, but just to see that they're actually just normal blokes, and they just have a conversation with them, I was like, oh, shit.
And did he tell you how to talk to referees and that? and how to kind of swing things around? Didn't Fitzy get you for that?
He was a great captain.
No. But, mate, Melbourne, you were talking about when you go down Melbourne, the music scene's pretty good there, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Do you go see much live music when you were down
I
there?
did see a little bit because obviously where Amy Park is, that's a pretty good precinct down there where you've got, tennis across the road, you've got all the AFL clubs that are around it. Is it Margaret Court Arena, I think, is the music set up there? Got to a fair few shows down there. Obviously, Amy Park, saw Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift.
Now, what about the little pubs? Apparently
the
there's a
Corner
lot-
Hotel?
Yeah, Corner Hotel.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to go?
I was meant to go and see Pete Murray there, I think, once, but we had training early next day and didn't get there. But
Bloody training.
yeah, I know, bloody rugby league getting in the way of my life. John Mayer, I think we saw at the Margaret Court Arena. Taylor, Ed. Yeah, I saw it, but who's the Aussie fella? I forget his name again. Vance Joy.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a daughter that has been in Melbourne for 10 years. She might come back. And she's into design and does theatre and all that. She said it's the hub for Australia. All the really, really creative dudes, mate, they're in Melbourne.
Well, I think just because you got so much in like that short vicinity, like
Yeah.
it's like if you live wherever you live in Sydney, like for me in the Shire, going to the city or coming to Homebush, it's like it's a bit of a trek and it's hard. Whereas like it's so easy to get places down there.
Yeah, she loves it. She won't come
like
back.
when the comedy festivals are on, there's always so many different joints you can go to. Like see the smaller, like the the acts that are kind of up and comers. You can go and see them at a hotel or whatever. Like it's just easy.
Do the Melbourne players, when you're down there for a few years, it's got to become, I would think, a little tighter because you're out of New South Wales. You're a one-town team. It's like when Brizzy first started, huge support. And does that bind you a little bit more?
Yeah, it definitely does because there's only been, I think, 3 born and bred Victorian players that have, like, born and bred in Victoria who've played NRL for Melbourne. So...
Do you know who they are? Do you?
One of the wingers, wasn't it?
Yeah, Richie Kenner, I think, is one. He played at South as well.
Yeah, and they probably started playing AFL and moved to rugby league.
Too, I should know.
Something like that.
Oh, off the top of my head, no, I don't know off the top of my head, but it does bring you closer together because everybody's new at some point, and like you understand what it feels like to be the new person in the club.
Yeah,
so for that reason, when you've been there for a while and someone new comes in, you're like, well, they don't know the city, they don't know any people, so like you kind of throw your arm around them a little bit, and it's kind of like brings everyone pretty tight together.
And plus, sorry to interrupt you, mate, but the 3 players like the Slater, Cooper, and Smith. They were in the same junior teams up in Queensland.
Yeah, Brizzy North, I think.
So that would have been even tighter, like Whit would say, not just being in Melbourne, but having those 3 games.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you get like a spine to stay together for that long anyway. Like
and be that
club,
good,
like and be the best in their positions, and stay at one club is just like it's phenomenal.
Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, how many games did he play in the end, Cameron Smith? 400 and something.
574.
No, it wasn't.
430. 430 or
It's a lot of
430,
games in that
432. Plus Aussie games and all that sort of thing. So he would have played 100.
Yep.
Like between
So over 500.
between Aussies
I was right.
and Queensland.
First class, first grade.
Yeah. I think it worked out because you spend a week or 10 days in those Origin camps, and then obviously with the tours and things, like he worked out he nearly spent like a year away.
Wow.
Like so with all the games that he played, with the weeks or the 10 days compiled,
Sure.
he spent a year away, like over the course of his career.
He looked really strong. Was he strong, like when you're doing the wrestle, or because you guys were the champions at the wrestling?
Because you're not the biggest bloke. Yeah, you were the champions of the wrestling. Invented that shit.
Did the guys like The Rock and Hulk Hogan and stuff like that, or was it? Sorry,
Was he like him? No, he was very...
No, Bellyache got them to turn up and teach the boys how to do it. Yeah.
No, he was very strong, like unassuming, because like like just in terms of like the technicalities of like wrestling and getting your body into line and hips in, all those sorts of things that like help you get someone to the ground. Like he would beat like a lot of bigger guys because
we couldn't believe it
because he just had such good technique.
Yeah.
He
Couldn't
hardly got injured, but he was so resilient, wasn't he?
So like I think the whole time that I played with him, I think he spent like it was ribs or a back, and he spent like 3 weeks out or something. I think I don't know that he missed more than 3 weeks.
He almost used to go under the radar every game.
Yeah,
he was just there, and then he'd kick a few goals and kick and tackle, and then pass, and someone and Billy would score,
and then he'd tell the refs what to do.
And then he'd tell the refs that they're offside and you've got to penalise them and all that. Amazing.
So in your second year with the Storm, you played in your 3rd grand final, which was against the Sharks.
Yeah.
Did you win that one?
No, we didn't win that. That was the Sharkies made a premiership. So Sharkies, they'd been involved in.
That's when
finals.
they said you can turn the porch light off now.
That was Gal.
Yeah, Gal said that. That's right.
Yep.
They were very lucky that game.
It was it was actually one of the toughest games I played in, just because of the way that the game was played. Like they were sort of, their line speed was just, they were up in our face, and then they would kick to a corner, sort of like, and I said this to Wade Graham since, like that, and he says the same. He said it was one of the toughest and most physical games he's been involved in, hence the scoreline as well. Ended up being 14-12. And I remember, obviously the Fafita try, which is, I was thereabouts, which was sticking
we've
point as
actually
well.
got that on video.
Yeah, no, don't show that one. That was 1 of 4, but I do not know how he got that ball down. Like he was all but tackled by 4 people.
That's right.
And then just found a way to get it down. That made it that made it 14. That made it 12 all, and then Maloney kicked the goal.
Yeah.
And even so, I come off for a head knock actually, probably 15 minutes to go in the game. It wasn't long after that try actually, and then so I was having to watch the remainder of the game because I had my head assessment done from the inside on the TV. So I'm not sure if you remember the game, but the last minute or
was manic.
Yeah, so
we almost had that.
We were down attacking their try line.
Yeah,
manic. It was like if a couple it could have been a try.
Absolutely.
Could have scored, we might not have, but it was like
absolutely
for a spectator, like you just would have.
It was manic.
And sorry to interrupt, but myself and my wife, we're at the Australian Hotel at New York. Right, and the place was just packed up at 4 a.m. of all Aussies.
Really,
and watching that game, and I'll never forget it. It was unbelievable. You almost had that.
Obviously, game. I would have loved to have won because it would have mean that you could have been involved in a premiership. But obviously, the Sharks now, that's the maiden premiership and the side that I play with now, and I know how much it means to the club, now being part of it. So, it's a double-edged sword, really. I would have loved to have won, but it's obviously part of the club's history that I'm a part of now. So
after your third grand final loss, you must have been thinking, "Geez, I'm done."
Dawsey was it?
It's the third grand final loss.
Do you know what though? I think James Graham had played in the Super League for St Helens, and he lost
9.
He won one obviously as well, but he lost. I'm not sure how many.
9, I think.
But he won one after he finished here and went back and played the last season for them.
He did.
So he lost 8 in a row before he come to Australia.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
something like that.
He
Ridiculous
lost a decent amount of them, but I did. As I said before, I didn't take for granted being involved in them, so I wasn't thinking, if I lose another one, or if I was happy to be involved in it, whether I lost it or not. But I do think at the time, if I had been involved and lost, it would have been some kind of a record for the amount of seasons played for grand finals being involved in for losses. So I didn't want to be part of that part of history at all.
No, you don't want that one.
But you broke the drought.
James Graham, 6.
He lost 6.
Lost 6
in
England.
Wow.
And then he won. Probably a fairy tale, and he won.
Yeah,
his
correct.
Last, and
it was right in the last second.
Do you recall the game as well?
Unbelievable.
Hit the post, bounce back. Oh, it was a mental finish.
So you broke the drought in 2017.
Yeah, we played Cowboys. Woo, yeah. Cowboys.
Go champion. I can't say that anymore.
We got there. It was similar sort of thing, talking before about majority crowds and things. It was probably, it was the first grand final I've been involved in where it was kind of a bit half-half because we had Cowboys were involved, which is the Queensland side, and us, so it was kind of a little bit skewed.
Yeah, 2 out-of-towners.
Yeah, so it was kind of there wasn't a Sydney team to dominate the crowds. So it was a bit of a different feeling as well, and I think the first 3 minutes, I think someone had their lock, Sean Fensom, had broken his leg pretty badly. So, it's prior to a game or a big cricket match or whatever it is, the atmosphere, you do the anthem and then it's right, we're on sort of thing. And then
a dude breaks his leg.
Yeah, then someone broke their legs 3 minutes in. So it kind of deflated it kind of a little bit, where it's kind of we've got all this energy built up, and then it's kind of we're waiting around for the Medicab and to check that he's okay.
Do you remember what happened when the Medicab took him off?
I think he gave
and he was high, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had the pencil, a couple of whistles. Yeah,
the whistles. Yeah. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, but that was probably obviously the first memory of it, and then my final memory of the game was you were talking about before about how you're winning by a margin and there's only so much time on the clock and you physically can't lose the game at that time. I remember we had a scrum and I was embracing, me and Jesse Bromwich were embracing each other going how good's this? We knew we'd won.
Yeah.
And there was 2 minutes to go or something. And Billy Slater still come over and just calm. He's like, boys, just
fucking settle
calm down. We're
tackle, make them tackles.
We're but we can't lose. But the excitement sort of got to Jesse and I, and we sort of embraced each other. But yeah, Bill kind of was like, settle it down. We still got.
So hang on, I want to ask you about the moment, because in my first Sheffield Shield final, I took the final catch to win the game.
Wow.
And we hadn't won the Shield for 20 years, and we hadn't won in Western Australia for 17 years. And you know what I did? Oh, it was Wayne Clark who had opened the bowling for Australia, and Trevor Chappell was bowling, and they only needed about 30 to win, and this was the afternoon, the last session of the 5th day. So he hit the ball to me, and I was alligator catching back then. I hadn't really been a great catcher, no, and I caught it, and the realisation that we'd won, and I shot the ball up in the air like we do, and we all got in the middle and celebrated. Then we went off at the Wacker and celebrated, and someone said, "Where's that ball?" It's the greatest piece of fucking Sheffield Shield memorabilia. Some dude's playing down an alley with it in Perth. Because when I shot it, I shot it, took the catch and shot it and just run into the middle.
Your teammates.
Fucking no one picked the ball up.
What's the one that you gave me then?
Don't tell me. So no, but that moment, I want to ask you, when the hooter went off and you and Jesse are next to each other, that moment is very difficult to describe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot of blood, sweat, tears, years. You get to that moment from a kid. Yeah. That's the journey, you know?
Yeah, like, I don't think you can get, like, speaking to other people, like, in other jobs and, like, occupations, like, I don't think it's, like, a feeling you can replicate, because it's kind of like, and Craig Bellamy talked about it a little bit, like, you obviously have to be playing well to get to the finals, but he talks about, like, there has to be there's a little bit of luck that comes into finals as well, where, like, because you've only got to play poorly in one game or get the possession go against you or whatever, and then someone jumps you and then they're in, you know what I mean? So it's like there's an element of luck that comes into it as well, but I guess the euphoric kind of feeling after when you finish is just like, because usually you're at some point in the season you got disappointment because it's like, well, we're lost and we're out, but like at the end of that you're like, you've achieved like the ultimate goal. You can't. That's the pinnacle of what you want to achieve. Like,
that's it.
I would say outside, I've obviously been involved in Origin in my career as well, but I think
we'll get to that in a minute.
I think because of the fact that they're the guys that you see every day. Like,
that's it.
You see them as much or more than you see your family.
That's
you know what I mean?
it.
So
you're living with them.
You live with them, and to go through that hardship of like throughout the season
and the emotion, the injuries, all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a very unexplainable feeling of happiness, I guess.
Yeah. People have asked me about those moments in my cricket career, and I've had to say to them, you can't replicate those moments. You can't repeat that moment. It's just so solo, that moment for you and your mates around you, and you can't replicate that. I mean, people were asking me the other day at the cricket, do you remember when we were playing one-day cricket here for Australia, and there was 40,000 people there, and they're going like this, Whitney, and I'm bowling, running in from the Paddington end, and the whole crowd's doing that, and I'm a home ground boy. And man, how do you get 40,000 people out there to go, just do that again for me? But those moments are irreplaceable, aren't they?
That's what I mean. Like, it is irreplaceable because you can't replicate it again.
You cannot replicate
unless you go through like the hardship and
but it's never the same the next season, is it? The next season's different. You might win another 2 grand finals, but they're not like that one because that's your first one.
Yeah.
And then the next one, some other guys might be playing. You're playing against another team. It's really, you can't replicate it, mate. It's amazing moments in time that you share with just these really amazing blokes.
Well, I think as well, when you come back, like, so obviously you'll have reunions and things like that for any, like you probably have now.
Yeah, when you get older, you have the
But like you say, like, that'll be something that you'll always have with that group. You know what I mean? So it's like, regardless if we don't speak for 10 years or 20 years,
it's a brotherhood.
If we go to a reunion, you'll still reminisce and talk about the good old days.
It's a brotherhood, mate. You never, ever lose that brotherhood. It's wonderful.
One more question on that game, because you had lost the previous 3 grand finals going into the 4th one. How were you mentally preparing, and was it back of your mind, I don't want to lose another one, or how were you thinking about it?
He's going to say no, but I'm telling you yes.
No, I'll tell you why I wasn't, because I didn't feel like, because I was so young in those first 2, I didn't feel like I really had a big impact on the team, as in, so my first grand final I played probably 10 or 12 minutes, so I didn't have a big impact on the game as such, you know what I mean? And then I think I played 30 minutes in the South game. So I felt like it was probably the first one that I was involved in where like I could make an impact in the game and be involved. So I probably had a bigger role to play in the team than what I'd had in those previous grand finals. So for that reason, I wasn't really in the back of my head. Like, it got mentioned through the week through the media about, potentially losing 4 games, but I really didn't care, like, to be honest.
Yeah. Ray, do you want to talk about your favourite topic? I think it's that time.
State of origin.
Ah, yes.
Love state of origin. Well, I've got a few questions for you. The first one is, how tough is it? How fast is it?
Yeah, it's a level up, obviously, playing like NRL, because like I said before about playing in those rep games, like it's the best players in the, for their state. So it's kind of like, I said, when you go to train, they're not coaching them as such. They're kind of just like, they know what they're doing. They know the players. They know the system. So,
would it be? Could you put a percentage factor on it? Is it 10% quicker or tougher? 20%?
I think the hardest part about it is the fact that there's probably less errors in the game. So we sort of like clubs talk about like ball in play time. So like obviously the game goes for 80 minutes, but the ball's probably in play for anywhere between sort of like, I don't know, high 40s to 60, low 60s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when you talk about that sort of stuff, it's kind of like it's probably at the higher end of like 60 something, like low 60s, as opposed to playing a game that's 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're doing stuff for an extra 10 minutes, like that's probably the reason why, and add the fact that it's faster as well because everyone's such a quality player.
Yeah.
That's it's hard to quantify, I guess, but well, I did a little bit by the extra 10 minutes and the lack of errors that the less errors that you have in
And
the
did
game.
they up the ante with the tackling? Is it heavier?
Well, you obviously, everyone loves the kickoff, right? Like with the game. Like, that's probably everyone's favourite part of the Origin. Like, who's kicking off and who's the front row and who's going to bring it back. And who are the 3 or the 4 forwards that are just going to come in and belt them.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously, even as a spectator, like, watching the game, like, that's your favourite part of the game is going, like, who's going to take this carry and, like, watching the impact that happens off it. Because usually that first set during Origin, like, everyone's so amped up that, like, the attacking team probably make 20 metres in that whole set, and then they're kicking out their own end, and the same thing's going on.
They want to belt you. That's right.
So There's that game of ping pong that goes for, like, for the first, however long the first era goes for, but, like, it's
So who are you playing with in that side? Do you remember some of the players?
Yeah, like, I mean, a lot of the guys who are still sort of playing now, like, obviously James Tedesco is playing, like Nathan Cleary, Damien Cook, which was really good because I'm really good mates with Damien Cook. He's one of my best mates, and to be able to share that experience with him and play with him, because we were the Dogs together, and we lived together actually for a year in Menai. So to be able to share that experience with one of my best mates and be able to play that game was pretty surreal as well.
And you're a vice captain too for one game or a couple of games?
Yeah,
or?
one of the games. It was one of the game. Was it? I don't even remember. It was
Let me go. It's game 3 of 2021.
Yeah, game. Yes, right.
Oh, you're good.
Is that when you played front row? Is that when Freddie decided that you could start as
I think I
front
had to
row?
take one of those kickoff carries actually.
Yeah, I think you did.
Why did
Was that game
why did-
Queensland?
No, I didn't get that far.
that's all right.
I just
Why
got
did he
game
want
3.
you to play front row?
Well, to be fair,
Come on.
lock and front row, they don't really. There's not a lot of difference, to be honest. Like, you've got some locks are different in terms of the fact that you might have more of a ball playing lock or more of a straight up and down lock, but more or less it's very similar role. If you take the kickoff, if you take the kickoff out of
count
it,
yourself as a ball playing lock, haven't you?
well,
don't
I
you?
like to move the ball.
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
I really
yeah.
like to get the ball on. But, like, I mean, a lot of front rows do that now as well.
Yes.
Like, that's what I mean. The only difference I feel, in the modern game between the lock and front row position is you might have a ball playing lock, but is the standing position. So some stand back, and then the lock stands in the front. Outside of that, the roles in the middle throughout the game are generally
very similar.
I would say.
Wow.
Yeah. Outside of obviously the handful of locks who are Isaiah Yeo, who moves the ball around
Yes.
a lot.
Yeah.
Victor Radley, he's got a good player as well, like Cam Murray. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ball playing. Even our team, Cam McInnes, so he plays a lot as well. But
Former South.
former South, yeah, he was
St George.
Yeah.
He's a tough man. Now, why wouldn't
Yeah.
you pick him every game? I wanted to ask you this. We had Sean Hampstead, and we interviewed him a little while ago, and we asked him about Origin being a ref, and he just said he couldn't believe
it.
that in the second half, the pace that the game was still
Same.
being played.
It's the same.
He said it just didn't peel off one iota. The pace, the hit-ups, the hitting, the tackles, just maintained the same
See
standard.
that on the you know how they do that like Telstra tracker where they've got the kilometres that the players run or the high speed meters and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, and they obviously make comparisons between that and like regular NRL game averages. So it's like you can see the difference in like the intensities of the game. Like,
How do you go recovery after that? Is it? Do you feel like it's taken more out of you? A game like that?
Well, it really depends. Like week in, week out. Like you could pay a game like a club footy game where you might have played 70. Like because I'm a middle, you obviously get interchange. Like
But if you play 70 odd minutes,
if you play 70 minutes and it was a grueling game, like it really depends on how you go. Like I've played 5 Origin games in my career. It's hard to compare. It's very variable.
And now with the Sharks, 2022, you've been at the Sharks since. And how did that come about? It must have been hard leaving the Storm after, a lot of success there.
Yeah, I spent 7 years down at Melbourne Storm, and as I said, had some success down there, and still got a great relationship with a lot of the guys down there. And
Had you felt like it was home after 7 years?
Yeah, I did. We were always wanting to move back to our hometown, but in terms of feeling homely and being connected to the people around us, it did feel like a home.
Does Bellyache and all that Melbourne setup make it feel like that? Is that one of their... because all the players say the setup's great, it's like family, don't they? And that's got to be one of the
I think because
the
of what I
success
spoke
of
about
it.
earlier, the fact that no one's born and bred there, so it kind of brings people close together. And, Frank Panisi, the footy manager down there, he's really good at being proactive with that sort of stuff as well. He understands that everyone's away from
Home,
Queensland, Bega, Sydney, wherever it is, and that we need to do some stuff to bring people together, whether it's let's put the budget, the girls are going for a drink night or they're going to have dinner or something like that. And
that's just smart.
Or if we've got a buy, we'll have a trivia night and have a few drinks, you know what I mean? Let's go and have a few beers, we'll lock in a pub, we'll do something. So just balancing, they know that we've got a job to play footy, but understanding as well that families are purely down here for us. Obviously a lot of them work as well, but you need to have the balance of both.
How was Bellyache on the blow up? Because you see him in the box.
Oh, does he get shitty in the box sometimes?
How was he in the sheds?
Yeah, no, he was obviously every coach, have their times where they blow up. Particularly when things are effort related, when you could have done something but you just chose not to. Those are probably the main reasons where Craig would get angry.
But what about when they play tricks on them? Did they get angry in that? When they put a dead rat in their bag or something?
No, he was really good. I'm not sure if you saw one of them, but
knocked their wallets off or
dead gerbil.
The year that we had to go to, the second year that we relocated to Queensland, we were actually based in Noosa, which was amazing. But there was a video that one of the boys took, and all the bags, because very last minute we've had to relocate and move during that COVID period. One of the boys got all, the big rocks that you get. They've gone and just because all the bags come, there's all the players, all their families, so there's heaps of people that had come and stay at this hotel. One of the boys has just got heaps of these big rocks and put them in his bag.
In Bellyache's bag.
And he's gone, fuck. And someone's filming it and watching Bellyache trying to pick this bag up and just realising that you can see, because Brandon Smith might have been the guy who did it, and you can just see Brandon just cracking up laughing because he's watching Bellyache try and lift this 50-kilo bag up that was 20 kilos when he left.
That's what we love.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Fantastic.
But he wears them quite well. It's funny, you see everyone sees that side of Craig where he's very animated, obviously, in the box and just very passionate because he wants to win.
Yep.
But he's actually he enjoys those larrikin characters. He really enjoys blokes taking the piss out of him, and he'll give it back. And videos sessions weren't always real. They were serious, but at the start we'd always have a bit of a piss take, and he'd take piss out of someone or someone would do that to him. I feel maybe the outside perception might be that he doesn't have that personality, but he's very... He can separate football and home life, and he can have a good balance of conversation.
I used to go with my son up to Penrith when they'd have the junior grand finals, and they'd have SG Ball and Harold Matz and that. And I remember one year the Melbourne side had a side in, I think it was Harold Matz, I'm not sure.
09?
But there was Bellyache, and he had most of the first grader side on the hill at one of the Penrith fields.
Yeah,
St Mary's, that's right, and watching the team.
He brought the first grade up to watch. Wow.
Really? To watch their side. But the funny thing is we couldn't work out. And I remember one of the players, he only retired recently, but the fullback was like Slater. The halfback was playing like Smith, and had a halfback who was playing like Cronk, really.
Wouldn't you?
And we just we couldn't believe it. But I'm also a great footy card collector. I've got thousands of footy cards.
Yeah, I think I seen last time it came out.
And then Dale Finucane, is that Dale Finucane playing for Cronulla there?
That is, yes. Yes,
That's not you.
That's me. Look at the Widow.
Is that him?
Yep.
Is it?
What are you looking at?
I'm telling you.
Is that you?
Go to
That's me.
Specsavers,
I
Ray.
don't have the head tape on there.
Is that you?
I get hot and take it off.
Okay, what about this one?
Is
that you?
You've got a stitch up
Got his
coming in
name.
now. Yeah, it is. What?
Dale
Really?
is going, is that you? It's got Dale Finucane Cronulla on the card.
But they get them wrong,
You're-
see? They're the special cards. When they get the name wrong,
wow.
they're worth a lot of money. So that's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay, they're me.
That looks like Sonny Bill.
That's Dale.
Is that Sonny Bill?
No.
I'll take that. It does. No.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, let me look again. Yeah,
Same
sure.
rig, same
Sonny
body.
Bill?
Yeah, Sonny Bill.
Yeah,
for sure.
there you go.
For sure.
See?
Same body.
Don't mention anybody's.
Sorry. What happened?
Don't.
Through to the keeper.
You got it.
I missed that.
We'll discuss it later when we have our barbecue with the wonderful meat from Peter's Meats at Maroubra.
I thought you were going to say Sonny Bill's mates.
No, but look what I've got here today.
Oh, one of our sponsors, Bundaberg Ginger Beer. Where's that made?
Bundaberg.
Oh, yeah, I knew it must have been that. Bundaberg Ginger Beer.
And also...
And the how's that? Coffee cup, which you can pour the Bundaberg,
Videos on.
the Bundy
Everyone
Ginger
wave
Beer,
to the
and have it in the how's that, the podcast coffee mug.
At least Fusi be happy with that one. He's a Bundy boy.
Is he?
He'll always be spooking about the Bundaberg.
Thank you to Bundaberg. We love yous. We love yous.
Go to Cafoose. We'll get you some when you come for a
send us around.
podcast. When you
Loves the plug too, so send me out and plug it for him.
I love it.
The big Safusi goes all right, the big fella.
Back to the Sharks, and you're obviously happy there and living
Now,
in the
hang on,
Shire.
Dawsey, this was the question. You went from Melbourne to the Sharks because they offered you $1.8 million over a year for 4 years.
2.
Okay, that'll do us.
No, it wasn't that. No, yeah, so just like the opportunity, obviously, to go to the Sharks. There was also obviously opportunity to stay at Melbourne, but to be honest, like I sort of had to go in the end to. Like,
You knew it was time to leave.
Oh, I just had, like.
And
I think at the time, like obviously, I was getting a little bit older, and in terms of security and stuff, and I had a young family. Like,
I was going to say, your
know
kids
when
were already born then.
Yeah, kids were born. So, like, I'd always wondered what people sort of said that when they're going and doing stuff for the family. But I understand, like, if you sort of, I'm obviously in the back end of my career, and I was only going to get 2 years at Melbourne, and I was going to get 4 years going elsewhere. So. I did have to consider that, the fact that I was going to get more security to go somewhere. And, it's not that I wanted to. I loved Melbourne. Like, it was a great club.
Yeah, but the Shire's not a bad place to live, bro.
Yeah, mate. And to be honest, like, I really, of all the opportunities that I had to go to another club, like, I was really excited about going to the Sharks because Fitzy was he was involved in the Origin camps that I was involved in, and he was the assistant coach there.
So you knew his style.
I had a relationship with him. I knew his sort of style. I knew he was defensively minded because he's been there a defensive coach for a decade.
And not a bad player in his own right. Yeah, absolutely.
And all the things that I'd sort of spoken to, I guess the pitch about when the opportunity to come to the club, like the pitch that he sort of gave was like, it was everything that I wanted to hear, really. Like, it was, obviously I didn't know what it was going to be like, but it was the closest thing to where I was at. So where I was at Melbourne, of all the clubs I spoke to, it was the most similar to what it was.
And you'd be looking at the roster, players they're leaving and coming, and how they're going to set that up.
You're looking at a number, like I spoke about before, like you're looking at, the coach, obviously, and that was...
And his staff.
A big draw card was obviously Fitzy going there. And, the potential success of the club as well, because as I said before, it's not all about money. You want to be happy where you go. You don't want to be losing everywhere.
And I'd expect, for an experienced player like yourself, Fitzy's saying to you, well, we want you to come and look after some of the young boys and teach them the ropes and give you some of that responsibility as well.
Yeah, we had a really good leadership group as well, because obviously Wade Graham was our captain at the time as well. He's a really good fella and
great player.
Such a good leader as well. Like,
did he retire at the end of last season?
Yeah,
he did.
Retired.
What a great player.
Yeah, he was 3 or 4 games shy of 300. So
wow, tough rooster too.
Yeah. So we had a really good sort of nucleus of like a leadership group there as well, and obviously Wade's moved on now. But
does that mean you take a bit more responsibility in the leadership group?
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, so like obviously when Wade was out last year, it was I was sort of the captain with Nico, because obviously I interchanged as well, and then Cam McInnes at times as well.
Say that name again.
Nico Hines.
Oh, what a freak, man.
He's all right. He's okay.
I didn't, mate.
Not that good looking either.
Oh.
Come on, man.
I know, it's just terrible when he runs out on the ground and he's already got his hair wet.
Yeah, I know, it's always wet.
But what a player.
No,
and he's still going to get better.
Yeah, and the really good thing about Nico is, like, the interesting thing is that he wouldn't have got his opportunity had Ryan Pappenhausen got injured. He had a head knock and he was out for 10 weeks. So that was where Nico got his opportunity to play at Melbourne.
Yeah.
So correct. I feel like had Nico not had that opportunity to play, obviously to the detriment,
he wouldn't be at the Sharkies.
Detriment of Paps, but he wouldn't have had the opportunity to showcase how good, because he killed it through that 10 weeks.
Yeah,
he was really
he
good.
really was.
He did.
And,
everybody went, "Where's this kid been?"
Yeah, so obviously he had opportunities to go. Well, everyone wanted to sign him then, but then to go from playing fullback where he was playing for us, to then come up in the front line and defend as well, like making 20 tackles a game and win a Dally M. Like, it's pretty special to be able to do that. Like, for someone who played a handful of games the year before to then come in, like, own a team and steer him around, like in his first year playing in that position.
And there's more to come, isn't there? He's got to learn more.
Oh, he's going down. He only came fourth, didn't he, in the last... He only finished fourth.
He finished. He was so close
Fourth
to...
in what?
Dally M.
Oh, yeah.
So the most recent ones, and he was thinking,
That's pretty good, isn't it?
He's thinking he didn't play that well or whatever, but he was like, he was
Fourth.
really close.
All right, yeah. He was.
Who's the toughest player you've played against, you reckon?
Toughest player I played against? Oh, that's a tough question.
Is that internationals?
Anything,
Even someone who hasn't made it.
Because you've played a World Club Challenge against Leeds, wasn't it?
Yeah, we played Leeds.
Yeah,
we
and
played
you played New Zealand in that.
So they're
junior
tough.
game.
They were tough to play, Leeds.
Yeah, it was a tough game. We won comfortably in the end. Like, it ended up being 38-4 or something. I think it was in the end, but still a tough game. And they had a bunch of Australian players that were in their team as well. Gal was always a tough competitor, because he always wanted to win. Like that.
James Graham.
I played with him. Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah, I played against him as well. Yeah, James. Yeah, James, of course, is one of them as well.
Who's the bloke that hit you that really hurt you when you hit the ground and think, shit, that really hurt?
Rob Burrow?
Rob Burrow. I didn't
Poor bloke, he's going through a hard time, eh?
Rob Burrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made a
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
So did you play against him, Rob Burrow, in that Leeds? Did he play in that Leeds game?
Was he in, that was in 2018.
I'm not sure.
I used to love him.
Well, we've asked we asked Junior Pearce about who was the toughest
Who did
players.
he say?
Papua New Guineans.
Oh, yeah.
He said that they just loved it.
Yeah, that's true.
They just love
He just
smashing
said
it.
their bodies like cement.
Yeah, in Fiji as well. So Tui Kamakamitha, who I played with as well, he was a front rower down at Melbourne. He just is a ball of muscle.
And they love it, don't they? They just love it.
Just ridiculous. Even if he's not training, which he does train all the time, but I feel like he could just have a month or two of not training and he would still just be shredded.
Yeah, you hate them blokes.
Just the guys who are naturally
That's right.
naturally shredded. But to name another one, like Justin Olam, I'm glad I played with him for so long rather than against him because he's a killer.
Tigers? The Tigers are going to grab him, I hope.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on now. I've seen talks of
Have
that
they
as well.
signed him?
Well, they reckon they have, but
But he's like cement too, isn't he?
Yeah.
They're just like
I'm glad I
concrete
didn't come
bodies.
across him when we played against these guys.
I'd give him a free pass to the
tough.
try line. There you go.
There you go, Jason. Way you go, champ.
It's yours.
So also you've been involved with the Rugby League Players Association recently too. So how did that come about? And you've obviously had an interest in that area. So
Yeah, I got approached by Jamie Burer, who obviously an ex-player at Manly. He's involved.
in Newcastle, yeah.
Yeah, Newcastle, sorry. Being involved now at the RLPA. And it's obviously been well documented that the CBA got done recently as well, like the collective bargaining agreement. So there was obviously a lot to do with that, and there's obviously a lot of player input that comes into it as well.
Yep.
So he just approached me, I think when we were in 2021 at my back end of the Storm, I think I got approached to be on the player advisory group. So it's just a group of players that obviously talk about, the ins and outs of the CBA and what could work, and obviously the board as well. So it's kind of like we need that players' input to see how we want to proceed and move forward, because obviously they're acting on our behalf with how they want to proceed, you know what I mean? So we're sort of instructing them, obviously collectively, what they think and then what we think, and then we put something together and go forward with it. But I've been involved with them for a couple of years now, and recently on the board now as well. Obviously, all the heavy lifting's done, but I've come
What
in
a
and gone to
tussle.
the
What a
I've come
lovely
into the
war
board now.
that was.
Yeah, it took a lot longer than expected.
That was
and-
fantastic. That was great reading, media reading. That was beautiful.
There's obviously a lot of sticking points from both sides, but it's all done in the end.
Yeah,
but
that's
happy
exactly
it's behind us.
Yeah.
So you would be talking about the head injury issues as well, and that stuff that's been talked about recently, or
Yeah, like a lot of the stuff now is obviously like the RLPA have been given an allocation of funds now. So a lot of the stuff that we wanted to do, like as a playing group, was like allocate it to past player funds and things as well. So obviously guys who are getting surgeries post career, like that need those sort of things done. And just looking at what we can do for past players as well. So we're sort of in the process now of working out where to allocate those funds. So that's sort of where I'll come in to talk about
Yeah,
I see it happening.
I believe too, the previous agreement, you only had 1 year after you finished playing you were covered only for 1 year in terms
it was only
of
a short
operations
time frame, whereas you've probably seen Andrew Fafita recently had however many things he needed to get done, like it was a nose.
It was four, I think. It was 4 operations in a year.
Really?
I don't even know if he's finished.
Yeah.
But like all these things that he needed to like fix his body to like sort of get it
live a normal life,
reasonable, like
play in the country.
Yeah, and we understand as well that like not everyone has that luxury, but like we have the luxury of obviously allocating those funds of our piece of the pie. You know what I mean? So it's not as if we've got extra money. It's just it's the portion of the players' pie that we've decided we want to allocate to past players.
Yeah, we do the same thing with the what do we call it? ACA, Australian Cricket Association, and it's very important that a percentage of the money is put away for the ex-players, because ours is not so much head, but it's wear and tear in other parts of the body. But when we had Spud on here too, he really blew up about the fact that they couldn't get any support for the $900 X-ray.
Oh, the head scans.
The head scans. And he said, he wanted to go to the NRL and say, you guys should be helping us out. But I suppose the Players Association is looking at all that.
Yeah, well, as I said, it's this conversation's all in its infancy, so I sort of, like, we've only had a conversation as to say we need to allocate the funds, to what or
yeah.
But
I
know
the next
James,
step is to look down and see where that goes.
Yeah, and I know that James Graham's been a massive advocate for it as well. And it's interesting because obviously throughout his career he was very staunch on it was like my body, my rules kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
wasn't he?
And he's I feel like he's almost swayed a little bit the other way where he's actually done a podcast with
I've listened to
Australian journalist, I think, where he sort of talks about the impacts that it has and potential CTE, all these things that come with it, and I guess change his mentality around it a little bit. But he's sort of one of the things that he wants to see happen is like the head scans or like a body check or of past players.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I've sort of had a couple of head injuries over the course of my career. And
I was just going to ask you, how do you feel about all this stuff?
Yeah, like my mentality's probably changed a little bit as well. Like as in, you probably when you're a bit younger, you don't care so much about the future because you don't have family. You're not worried.
How many
about
children
that.
have you got?
I've got two boys.
Yeah,
but
well,
like now that I do, you think, you don't want to be, shit house for them when they're a bit older. Like, and you do think about that. And now, like, you probably, when I did get head on when I was younger, you'd probably be, if you wouldn't report the symptoms, or you might say, no, I don't have a headache.
Yeah, I'm good.
I've got a headache.
Yeah.
But you might not say that you do. Whereas now, like, I'll be honest,
it was more of a toughness thing back in those days
when
you're
like
I'm right. I got that's right.
Yeah.
And they'd pick you up, throw you back in the scrum, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
That'd never happen now.
Yeah, no, I feel like the mentality's changed.
Big time.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Really
we had
good
Junior
thing,
Pearce talking about it too,
Yeah.
because he comes from the commission side of things.
Yeah.
And he spoke well about it, didn't he?
Mate, I spoke to Bob McCarthy about it at a Matraville Tigers Junior Rugby League Club luncheon that I went to, and that was the first junior club I played for. And Macca got up, and he's still pretty good, Bob, but he just went through this list of names of blokes he'd played with really closely, and a lot of the South boys. It was really sad just to look at this Bobby McCarthy. He said, I'm good. But he also said this, when there was a punch-up on, I went, threw a punch and I'm out of there.
He was with Mike Cleary, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right, out on the wing, hanging out on the wing. Mike Cleary, hit him with your handbag, Mike. But yeah, he said, and a lot of guys, he said, I never led. And if you look at guys from, I'm going to talk about South players, Mario and George Piggins, ball under the arm, lead with the head, run straight into you with the head. Where Bobby McCarthy would try and palm and do whatever. Yeah. And now I look at George and Mario. Fuck, that was a melt, wasn't it? There was a melt down there, and they're not very good.
Yeah,
at all.
That's the point about like James. I wanting the head scans. Like I sort of did. I've done two. Like I did one in 2016, I think, and then one more recently, just so you got like a bit of a baseline. And I feel like that would be a good thing for players moving forward, where it's like, well, you can see what you did over the course of your career.
Fantastic.
Check in 10 years, check in 20 years. So you got at least you got a baseline there.
Great idea.
Like, I'm sure that technology will advance later on. Will be able to like help identify or ways that you can help prevent, CTE and things like that.
Again, I'm going to go back to the Australian Cricketers Association. They found a spot on me 5 years ago. It was cancer. It was sun cancer. If I hadn't gone to that ACA thing, and they do blood and cholesterol and everything, check your skin, your scalp, whatever, for free. But we were so big on that, the early members of the ACA, to say we need health checks. Because unlike you guys, we're out in the sun for 5 days. So everybody's getting burnt and on your face, and we didn't have
Very
hats.
true.
We didn't have anything, mate, at all. And a lot of guys in my era now have got major sun cancer problems. How did I get a sun cancer on my chest?
Yeah, how did that
I know, but they cut it out and took it away and said it had to been 0.5 millimetre deeper because it was cancerous. We're checking your lymph glands and everything. So only for the ACA Health Day, which will be like the Rugby League Players Association Health Day. And
So
health
was that
checks.
an annual check,
Twice a year you can go.
Yeah, wow.
It's been going for 10 years at least.
Yeah, I feel like we'll hopefully get to that.
Absolutely.
That's what James
It's
been
crucial.
advocating for anyway.
There's a crossover here too with Todd Greenberg being the ex-CEO of the Bulldogs and playing cricket at Randwick. And,
I played first grade cricket with Todd Greenberg.
Did ya?
Yeah, and then he managed the Dogs, then the NRL. And when he sort of left, got kicked out, he whatever, the ACA rang me and we were just turning over a CEO.
Because he moved to cricket after that, didn't
Well,
he?
I knew
Like
that was
to-
his first love,
Yeah.
so I rang Todd and said, listen, the ACA's been in contact with me. Are you looking for a new job? We need you. Cricket's your first love. He was a beautiful batsman.
Yeah.
Really elegant player.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And
his
he came and
brothers.
seen us at a gig at the Oakley Hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
He's a good
I was
fella.
with him on the 4th day, all day of the Test match.
Yeah,
We
wow.
had an ACA Baggy Blues reunion day, and of course
Yep.
Todd was there.
Wow.
Yep.
And a great man.
Ray, we always talk about our love for international rugby league.
Oh,
we love
it.
watching Minnow Nations play rugby league, and we've adopted a team from the Czech Republic. They're called the Mad Squirrels.
Love 'em.
It's the best team name ever. So we're just getting that out there and
Yeah, okay.
trying to
And it's
raise
easy
their
to get
profile.
Be a good mascot.
Mate, it's really easy to go, on, gun the Squirrels.
Yeah, see?
Gun the Squirrels.
Yeah, good mascot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we obsess over Greece playing Serbia and Czech Republic playing
Yeah, and then there
Netherlands.
was Canada
Squirrels.
play recently.
Canada played
Colombia. All right, they snorted the goal line. Man.
Well, actually-
no, it's a joke. That's only a
Does
joke.
Roberto play rugby league?
Well, this is where
He
we
played
should.
rugby union.
Yes, well, this is where we should mention Las Vegas because USA's playing Canada the day before the.
We're going to Vegas.
Oh, to the league.
We're going.
Oh, you going?
We're going.
Really?
We're doing the
Yeah.
podcast
See, I
for
reckon-
them.
Podcast.
We're
I
gonna
reckon
do
there's
the
going to be a
podcast.
lot of Aussies going over
Yeah.
there for like boxes or boys trips or whatever. Honestly, I reckon they're going to tackle it all and go, let's go to rugby league, let's go to Vegas.
Yeah.
It's going to be massive. And to be honest, I really hope that America embraces the sport and they're like, it grows over there because if it grows in America, it's going to be huge.
Yeah,
Well,
I feel
we're,
like
trying
they
to,
love-
we're trying to get the cricket going over there.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
Too.
Oh, you guys will have fun anyway.
Have fun.
We
It'll
tried
be
to get the
great.
band to go over there, but Junior said it's a bit hard. So
But he said
Is
if you
he
want
going-
to,
is he
yeah,
going-
as
our
a
manager
commissioner.
here, Dawsey, got
Yeah.
the podcast going.
Yeah, so
Sure, we can get one night off. Wait, busy.
well, Junior Pierce, he set us up a room in the Hilton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to do a few podcasts over there
good.
and then go,
Some of the
what else
players.
can you do in Lost Wages?
I don't know. We'll be pretty bored. We'll be
That's what they-
twiddling our
Everybody
thumbs.
just goes there to lose their wages.
Not very eventful, is it?
Yeah.
I'm going to lost wages. Steely Dan.
Yeah,
Well,
what
one-
a great band.
Oh, people seeing through the state of the night of the
I might not come back.
when the stars are out
I
at
feel like
night.
Stevie
Go to lost wages. Sorry, get carried on.
As we get closer to the end of the podcast, one interesting fact I sort of doing a bit of research.
Yeah, I've got to interrupt you there, man. You were talking about international rugby league, right?
What else do you want to talk about?
The Mad Lost
You're
Squirrels.
Irish. Are you going to play for Ireland?
Well, it's funny as you asked that because who do I have? I had someone ask me about my eligibility, but I think it goes as far as I don't know if it's grandparents or great grandparents, and I don't think that it's I'm not eligible based on that.
Okay.
But
So it might have been your great
Next.
grandparents.
but yeah, I did also get the what did I say? The Italian coach approached me in 2014. He rang me and he's said, "Oh, I just wondered if you're keen to come over and play. I don't know if it was a World Cup year or
Is
whatever
your
it
mum
was."
Italian or something?
No, that's what I said before. I don't know where,
20%,
I don't know where that
Yeah.
Greek Italian 20% comes from. I'm not sure. But I'm like, oh mate, as far as I know, I'm not Italian.
Dale,
And he goes,
Fulcane.
oh, I know some. I think he must
Yeah,
say I know
that's
some
it. Dale,
Finucans doing
Fulcane.
Italian.
Yeah, Dale, Fulcane.
Yeah, beautifully
fettuccine.
spoken.
But yeah, so I just had to say, oh mate, I don't think so. And then so I've missed 2 opportunities to go and get a free holiday.
But,
Sorry,
no,
Dawson.
just
Sorry,
part of
Dawes,
my
we're going to
back-
apologise.
Yeah.
no, part of my background research. Apparently, you've got an obsession with cotton buds or something. Is that
I
right?
did. I had to stop. I kept getting ear
Where were
infection.
you
Who did you
sticking
tell
the-
you that too?
Oh, I found it. I have my sources, mate.
Hang
Don't
on,
worry
hang
about
on,
that.
I
Dawes, can
found
I ask
something
you a
else, yeah.
question?
Yep.
Where's he sticking the cotton buds?
Well,
Oh, in the years.
all will be
Okay.
revealed.
So
Do you know where I stick them?
No, I don't. I've known you since I was a kid.
So like
Sorry.
it's disgusting, but like instead of putting it underwater, if you put it in your mouth, it's lukewarm. So I put a cotton tip in my mouth and put it in my ear so that it's like, and then like put it and then just like.
I can
move it
tell
around.
by your
Just drop
expression.
something.
not-
Just drop something on the floor. Because I was going to ask you, after you do the first one, do you double dip and go
No,
again? You can't double dip.
You can't double dip.
Can't double
You'd
dip.
use the other end and put
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other
yeah.
end for the other ear, but
But
I was getting-
fascinating. It warms it up.
Well, your saliva's more
Yeah,
lukewarm
yeah,
than
yeah.
a tap, isn't it?
I'm good. Yeah.
So,
I'm running
and
with
I
it.
don't do it to get the wax out or to get it clean. It's just like because I've done it so much, I've got to a depth where it feels like really good, and I've kept getting ear infections. So I've had to stop. Like I'm at the point now where if I do it once, I'll get like an infection. So I've just had to like. My New Year's resolution is no cotton tips.
Stay away.
I've got to tell you this, and you look a little bit like my old man did when he died when I was 16. But he was a durry smoker, and there was no lighters in those days. It was all matches.
Yeah.
So he would sit in the lounge room smoking a durry, and the other end of the match, he'd have in there, in the ear, and we'd always say, "Oh, Dad, let's get the wax." He'd go, "I'm not getting wax out of the ear. It just feels good."
Feels good.
Like you just
Well,
said. You're the only one that I've ever met.
A bit weird again, but I'll tell you. So because the tip is like a little bit too hard, I ended up like scrunching up toilet paper and like making like a little drill that would come into my ear,
fantastic.
and like, but that even still give me a little bit of like I felt
Because when
something coming on.
it's like when
Ladies
it
and gentlemen,
reaches
meet the
spot-
real Dale Finucane.
Yeah, weirdo,
That's
massive weirdo.
fantastic.
See, this is the hard-hitting questions we
I'm
ask.
so
on this
upset to
podcast.
find out where you found out about my ear-buddy section.
Don't worry, mate, don't worry.
Mate, we
You
get
got
to the
contact.
bottom of everything, man.
I got
Have
a
look
whole
at my
word doc
bottom.
on this
Yeah.
stuff, mate. Don't worry
The
about
squirrel style us.
that. But go, Ray.
I just want to ask, back to music. Mm-hmm. What guitar do you have? What do you use when you play?
So I actually don't know a lot about the stuff that I've got. I've got heaps of stuff at home, and I don't even know what it does. So I've got a Taylor. What's the Taylor? What is it? I couldn't tell you.
Well,
the
that's
letters.
I've got the
acoustic,
bass Taylor. So
Yeah.
That's a Taylor.
It's a really good guitar.
They're great. They're
it's a
great.
really
They're
good
very
guitar.
lightweight, aren't they? The
Yeah,
Taylors.
it's kind of got like it's real bright sounding as well.
Yeah,
Like I kind of
yeah.
like the brighter sound. I said like when I went to buy one, I just like trialed a heap, and the brighter sounding ones like I just sort of gravitated towards.
What makes it that? Is that the timber in it, the way it's
yeah,
made?
and the
or-
way, how thick the timber is,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
I've got an electric that I haven't played for a long time, like just a little Ibanez which I had as a kid.
Yeah.
Brother's got a bass which is at my house in the garage. It's been
Does
there
he
for
play?
fucking- Yeah,
He
brother
plays all
plays
right?
as well. Like same sort of thing, like same like influences as me with dad, and then played in school band, and
Yep.
then like
Yep.
loves Ed Sheeran, like all the similar sort of stuff. But he sort of played bass in the school band. But yeah,
So
just love doing
Ed
it.
Sheeran was using Martins, wasn't he? Martins.
He's
Those
got
mini
Mar-
Martins.
yeah, he's got
Did
mini
you get
Martins.
one
I
like the
bought
Plus
one.
and the Minors?
Yeah, I
and
bought one. I bought his Divide Edition guitar. I think.
Yeah, beautiful.
So it's just like a little mini. It's like a like a mini mate.
It doesn't sound great because Darren, my nephew's got a couple. Do you know what I mean? And, I don't think they're great sounding one, but he makes them sound unreal.
Yeah, like there's something about. I don't know if it's like a bit like if you strum the shit out of like they're a little bit tingy kind of thing. Like, but I like it, enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then I bought a heap of what are they called? Like these sorts of things, like the mixers and the foldbacks and all that sort of thing. So like when I had the guy who I played with down in Melbourne.
What was his name?
James Maris is his name, and he like the way that I met him was he was just playing a gig down for us in Melbourne, like the Storm. He was just playing a gig for us, and he had all these pedals, and I just got talking to him, and became friends, and we started jamming together. Like ever since then, we've played like pubs together, and we actually did Simply the Best for the NRL launch in 2019, I think it was. We did the NRL season launch and played that together. So he's just he does it for a living. Like he's a muso, and he's got all this stuff and showed me how to plug it in. And
Like
use
me and
it all.
Dawsey.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly what you guys do. So anytime I've got any questions, like how to plug something in or do something, like he's my man.
Do you want to explore music when you finish rugby league and get a bit more into it?
Yeah,
explore more?
I do. I really I love it, but I get so frustrated by my voice, like because I can't do like the higher pitched stuff, and like I've always got to change. I've got to transpose a song to like put a cape on so that I can get through the whole song from start to finish. So that's probably, like I've had 2 surgeries to try and like fix it and close. Like,
Is it a football thing? Is
Yeah,
it an
like,
elbow?
Yeah, like so a combination of like yelling, like always yelling, and contact.
Getting whacked, yeah.
So, like, I think my vocal cords don't close like they're supposed to close, and I've got, like, a little bit of a gap between them. So, like, air gets through them. That's why I sort of, it gets a bit husky, I think.
So when you finish playing and you stop all that yelling and getting hit in the throat,
well, yeah, I don't know if it'll fix because, like, I've had, like, 9-week periods off at the end of the year where I've had, like, and I'm not yelling and doing that, and it's kind of still the same.
Still the same.
And I've had this, like, it's almost like a Botox for your vocal folds, like, to try and cover it. But none of the surgeries have worked, so I've done, like, speech therapy sort of stuff as well.
I think it gives your voice uniqueness.
Yeah, I mean, it does, but it's like, at the same time, I can't do, like, I want to be able to do the falsettos. Like, I used to be able to sing falsetto. And
oh, you did?
I could sing falsetto and all the high-pitched stuff.
You know, have you been to a singing teacher?
No, I've never had any lessons or...
Yeah.
Ray knows a good one.
When you finish, give me a call.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Yeah,
she hasn't done much with me, but, you know. She can't perform miracles. But
No, I'd absolutely love to stay involved in music. It's just like I genuinely get frustrated by the lack of range that I can do. So I'm just like, I end up just calling in and getting the shits, really. Like,
what about the kids? Do they play?
My eldest boy's 4, so we bought him... We bought him a guitar and a ukulele recently.
Cool.
So, like, anytime I get the guitar out, they're coming in, like, they're slapping and playing what the kids are like. So, like, bought him like a 75 centimetre one, and then the little fella's got a little uke.
Yeah.
So, they've just been walking around. And it's funny, like, we got it for Christmas, and my mother-in-law bought him a microphone as well, like a little karaoke one. He's been calling everyone in for performances. He's been going, performance time, and just calling in like 15 people at Christmas. He's like, righto, and he's like not embarrassed at all. He's just like, righto, we're going to do a performance now, and he'll sit there for 10 minutes and just strum his guitar. So like, I'm excited about his like eagerness already to like be involved in music. Because like I'm not going to push my kids into any particular sport or anything just because I play footy, not necessarily do that. But like
I did exactly the same.
I will try and make him do music. Like I want to try and make him play guitar.
I really pushed mine, and they told me to get stuff.
Yeah, they did. Fuck off, Dad. We've heard enough of it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one thing I will try and push would be music.
Do you think put the boys into rugby league? Do you think you'll push them that direction
if they want to?
Play?
Like, I think I enjoyed growing up playing everything. Like we did nippers, we started soccer, footy. Like anything really to get out of school. Like if tennis was on or volleyball, like you'd have a go, you'd have a crack at it. But I think I'll just put them in a bunch of things, and if they like footy, then they like it. But
Dawsey, I remember when my son came to me at 12 and said, I don't want to play cricket anymore.
Did it break your heart?
No.
You're sweet.
I said, mate, that was my thing. You don't have to do it. Because everybody was going, oh, he'll get the wickets and he'll get the runs. I couldn't bat for shit. I don't know where they said that to him, he'd get the runs. But he was already playing AFL, and that was a game that I respected, knew nothing about. But he went down to Aussie, and he just wanted to play AFL. I played rugby league till I was 20. That's my game, that cricket and going surfing. And he, all right in the surf, very good in the surf and swimming, but never played cricket till he stopped. Never played rugby league, went and played AFL. So I turned up there, and luckily Roosie was there with his son on the same day, and I badgered Roosie for the next 6 years. What the fuck happened then? What's that ruling? And then he went to Melbourne. He got pissed off and took a job down there.
The funny story about AFL, I was like trialling for a team when I was young, and Mum was like, who's Mark? He's pretty good. Marking the ball. Because Mark got called out all the time. Mark was always getting called out. She's like, fuck that, Mark is pretty good.
He's all over the place.
Talking about your rugby league career, Whit, you played with a couple of legends when you were growing up, and who did you play with?
Yeah, I was very lucky to play for 8 or 9 years out at La Perouse. I only got to play with Mark Ella and Glenn Ella and Lloyd Walker and Gary Ella. They all went on to play rugby for Australia.
Nathan Gibbs.
Gibbsy played a couple of seasons with us, who he ended up captaining the Rabbitohs, and Gibbsy's my go-to man. He's a surgeon.
Oh, really?
So I ring him up and say, I need that operation, and he puts me under the doctor. Yeah. So, who else? Off the top of me melon, that'd be about the most famous guys.
I used to go see him, mate, and he used to play against a side, Kensington, Clive Churchill's son.
Rod.
Rod
Churchill.
He played as well.
Roddy was a good player. Played 5'8".
And they used to have these games. It was just...
Well, I played one season with Rod and those guys after... When we got to 16, the Yellows went and played rugby then, and the side sort of disseminated a bit. And I went and played one season. And Clive used to come down and train us one afternoon every second week.
I see you obviously met him.
Like, I mean, like, you're 15. You're 15, and you know, this is Clive Churchill. He's a legend, and he's coaching us. I think about it now, and I go, fuck, Clive used to come down and coach us at Kensington Oval.
Yeah,
and Rod was a great footballer, his son. Really good guy too, Rod.
We know what that means.
It does. Dale, thank you very much for coming in, mate. Enjoyed. Well, look, the rugby league's one of my great loves, but the music is as well, and have both of those things in your life. And we love you, bro. You know why I love watching you play? 100%. I can't give any more than 100%, mate. You always give everything you've got, and that's very admirable, bro.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, Dale. Good to have you on, brother.
Over and out. See you next time.